darn, now it's too close to OTR to cook up something to eat.
All right, I think we're streaming on the video. Maybe. There we go.
I wonder if you could cook a steak up on an old tube
I
radio.
wanted to start the video early.
Well, I was just going to say, I
hello,
think
if
you
you're
could
watching
on
the
this
video,
one.
the network will be starting shortly. In about 1 minute, actually.
It's almost howdy doody time.
And who is on the video? DD21. Did you do, JT, did you do a net tonight? I didn't get a little notification. I'm not able to find it.
I do believe it's almost time for old tube radio.
Could be the weather. Weather situation maybe messed things up. I was out last week. It wasn't due to the weather. Yeah, R and D. I have H and D here a lot of times. And I know how it is to try and get this stuff up and running every week. I know exactly what you're talking about. All right, we're going to start up fire up the program here. The Nixie Tubes are counting down to 15 seconds. Back in a bit. Oh, you know what I have to do? I have to change streams here, so hold on. I have to change the audio stream to the right thing, or it won't archive correctly.
I think so.
All right, you'll see those listening will see the tube go dark for a second, but it will be back, so don't fret. All right, I think we're looking good. All right, I think everything's working. Over.
You are working?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right, the video is up. Hello to the video. We have reset the audio at oldtuberadio.net. Looking at the video links here. I'll check some other stuff as we go along. We'll get started hopefully on time here. 8 o'clock Pacific Daylight Time. And your Old Tube Radio Network here live in Central California at 27085. That's Channel 11. Doing what we have been doing for the past, is it 35 years, Kevin? I can't remember, but it's been a long time. But every Saturday evening, we stand by on this frequency and try and recreate a little bit of citizen band radio, a little bit 11-meter stuff that happened back in the 60s and 70s, thanks to you and your glow-in-the-dark tube radios, the way it was. And we'll be talking to our radio operators and collectors tonight, and hopefully you, if you're at oldtuberadio.net, you can maybe leave us a comment on the comment page. There's a video running. You can click on that link if you're not already there, and we'll try and answer any questions you have. And, of course, our stations live at 27085, whether it's local or DX. We had some DX today. We don't know what'll happen. We'll see what we can do. But in the meantime, we'll start with the roll call of the shortwave listeners, those stations who may or may not have an Old Tube Radio, which is certainly not a prerequisite to participate here in the Old Tube Radio Network. But I want to do that. And it's good to be back in the air chair. I was away last week at a function for the FM radio station where I work, which is non-commercial. So we do a annual fundraising banquet that turned out real well. So it's good to be back on the AM radio. Starting with our roll call. Oh, by the way, everyone will get, if you're worried about the perfect attendance thing, it's sort of like a bingo game. You know, the free space right in the middle, everyone will get a free check-in for last week. So nobody will lose their status if they have checked in. Speaking of checking in, we'll go to 00, and that is SWL 49. Mass grading is 00. And and he might be out there. You can see the confirmation of your check-ins over at the oldtuberadio.net page, like SWL number 1 with the Cosmic check-in, keeping an eye on the net here to make sure that I don't do anything wrong, but that's always an issue. SWL number 2, Mr. OBP, one of the founding people of this particular thing that we do on Saturday evenings. And I hope, Kevin, I am coming in with 9 pounds and good modulation at least somewhere. SWL number 3, that is Rob. He asked me to check him in. I saw him at the bowling alley on Thursday night, where for once I was actually bowling well and he was not. How does that happen? SWL 4. SWL 5. I'm going to get Mama Rose checked in. Ida. SWL 6. SWL 7.
SWL 7 checking in.
And we have you checked in, sir. The audio is sounding good. Oh, I guess I should put, now that I have multiple camera stuff, let me go to the option of putting the S meter at the bottom. So if you're watching the video, you can not watch me and take a look at the S meter, give yourself a signal report. This is the program for, what is today? October 19th, 2019. Not sure how long we keep the videos up, but you may be watching this in the past, or is it the future? And hopefully you can scroll along. If it's not live, you can scroll up and down and look for some of your favorite radios to check in. Right now we're on the roll call, and we'll have radios in about 35 minutes. Next we have SWL 13. And Mike does check in at oldtuberadio.net. You, obviously, if you're a digital listener, checking in there is a good thing to do. I will keep my eye out and get everybody checked in and make some comments. And if you can't quite get to the radio, that's another way to check in. And we'll make sure we get everybody in that way. SWL 14. SWL 15. Sounding good from downtown Easton. I was just about to use your SWL number to say, Fred, one of our net controllers, often checks in via the Facebook page, Old Tube Radio Network, which is a way to do it. And sometimes he actually does connect the coax from the big town of Easton, points his beam towards the Big Potato Market, and then that reflects the signal back here into Midtown Fresno. You are sounding good, sir. SWL 16. Shortwave listener 17. SWL 18. I saw Mikey on some on the Facebook side, so I will get Mr. KDA checked in. SWL 19. And since I wasn't listening last week, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be proxying in SWL 20 or not. We'll give a shout out to Harvey. Hello, 20.
Hello. Number 20 here. Check myself in. And 29. And 54. And I think it's 84 and his family. And then just in case 135. And I will have a couple of items of interest.
All right, items of interest are good. Sounds like you might be on one. I don't recognize that particular radio, so no doubt we will be talking about it when we start glowing in the dark during the check-ins. You sound good. Missed you last week, mainly because I wasn't around, but you're sounding good now, so we'll look forward to you when we start glowing in the dark. Got you checked in.
All righty. Yeah, I actually made it out there last week. Kind of on this one. I talked to Ed, but the speaker was terrible on this thing. And so I had to figure out where to get another speaker for this thing. And I found it, along with about 6 or 7 others, that will fit into this radio, two others just like it, similar models, plus a bunch of general radio telephones. So I bulked up on speakers. So there you go. Okay, let you go. I'm going to go back in for a bit. Be back out later.
All right, do that and listen to us at oldtubradio.net. That's the live audio stream on the Universal Media Netweb. Of course, you are close enough to hear us on the ground wave. 20 is checked in. Let me go to SWL 21. I lost my page to get the check-in, and Mr. JT is out there. Some inclement weather is what I'm gathering may have kept the old radio night a little bit quieter than usual tonight, but JTDD21 does a similar thing that we do here, but it's not specific to just tube radios. It's a get-on-the-air night with your vintage radio of whatever sort you might have. He also does a video where, smartly enough, he focuses the camera on the radio rather than the radio operator. That's what I should do here. Anyway, good to have you along on board tonight. And hopefully, when things dry out, the ground rod, I don't know if you have a wash and wear ground rod there, so it will hopefully not shrink up too much. But we do have the check-in for you. Let's go out to East Texas for SWL 22 and see if Mark is around tonight. I see Longview, Texas. Let me take this moment to say hello to our digital listeners. And we do have Texas represented tonight. I don't know if that's Mark D. listening in or not, but hello to stations tuning in, if you will, from, of course, local in Fresno, up in Fish Camp, is around Yosemite. Up in the front row, listening in early tonight, as they often do. They're in Hagerstown, Maryland, New York, of course. We'll be getting to the New York check-ins. Southern California, Huntington Beach, Redondo Beach, North Fork, Dallas, Georgia. Just got Dallas, Georgia checked in. Hello to Brunswick, up in Brunswick, Woodland Park, Colorado, hoping for some E-skip. We had some strange things going on today. You never know. Somerville, South Carolina, coming up to you. Hello to our Washington stations and British Columbia. That's up there in Squamish. Albert and the Gang, 256. And Peter, 428. And the Christian 111. All listening in and hoping. We usually have a good shot. If the band opens up on the short skip, we might hear them floating in tonight. Bolton, BL1, I'm not sure where that's from. Hello, Longview, Texas. Hendersonville, Tennessee, coming up to you on the next page. Florence, Kentucky. British Columbia, another Kentucky station. The unknown SWL, and San Francisco. So stations come and go, but we're glad to have you on tonight. And let's see, I'll take a look at the video here in the next go-around. I'm looking for SWL 23. SWL 24. SWL 25.
Hello, Dennis. 25 checking in.
25 is checking in. Hello, Jerry. You are sounding good. Good to hear you on the 10-meter net side. And how are things going on the musical front? Are you guys playing any gigs, or are you taking some time off?
No, actually, we're quite busy, and we're going to be back up in Mariposa on the 24th. So, but yeah, things are cruising right along. Thanks for asking, Dennis.
All right, you're sounding good, and we'll get 74 checked in at the appropriate time as well. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you, Dennis.
Page 2, and as I always, the apologies of the week, the 2-meter radio is still not up due to basically me just not getting it there and getting the time to do it. So if anybody is monitoring the simplex crossband frequency, and here's some people checking in, I would appreciate, what do we see on 11-meter radio at 10.5? A relay. Looking for SWL 27. Got a proxy check-in for Mr. Loner 29. And then over to SWL 31, Robert and Teresa, who were up in the balcony earlier. I think they went to the lobby, got their popcorn and beverage, and are back in a probably a better seat, a more comfortable seat. Anyway, we've got Hendersonville checked in. Let's try SWL 32. SWL 33 is myself and Boso Control, the Jingle Singers, who are out there. You know, we haven't heard from them tonight, and they're saying, why don't we do, okay, they say, why don't we do the show open, since we've already gone by the show open, and we didn't do the show open. So here it is, the big fanfare. We'll take time out and reintroduce what is the Old Tube Radio Network.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
RADIO, your RADIO here on 27085, the Old Tube Radio Network, where real radios glow in the dark, and they will be doing that shortly. Next, we have SWL 35, Mr. Bill, who is out listening on the internet, I believe. I see your check-in there, Bill, from probably a cool Cheyenne, from cowboy country, a cool Cheyenne, Wyoming. We've got you checked in. Then we've got SWL 36, SWL 37.
The SWL 37, Dennis, and I don't think I've ever heard that one broadcast announcement there before, or this I just don't remember.
Your memory, you're not remembering. Memory is serving you well, because that is something new that the Jingle Singers have come up with. They got a very famous 1950s and 60s radio personality here for us, who is doing the singing, and that's sort of our new show open, show stopper, whatever you want to call it. It definitely can stop the show. Looks like they sound like they even had an audience tonight. So we've been doing that, certainly not as long as the jingles that you are used to hearing.
All right, did you have to make them up a double batch of cookies for that one?
Yeah, I think I'm still paying for that one. You know, those old radio announcers command big bucks.
Yeah, our big cookies.
Indeed. We've got you checked in. You are sounding good. And if you are around during the radio check-ins, we will be talking to you again, no doubt.
Hopefully.
This is the hopefully frequency. Looking for SWL 38, SWL 39, SWL 40.
SWL 40 here. And the listener that's located in Null is actually Monterrey, Mexico.
Oh, you know, that is, he has been listening for a long time, and I don't know why it's showing up as Null. And Monterrey, Mexico, I apologize because I am blanking on your name, but he's been listening in for years. In fact, he's one of our, when we started streaming, one of the first people that started showing up on the audio stream. So hopefully we are beaconing okay, even in the null mode. And who else? A lot of Kentucky, other Barberville, Kentucky stations. I don't know. I just don't think we're going to, in the past gray line, that we're going to get any conditions that probably won't be E-skip. You are sounding good, by the way, and thanks for the update. Let's see. We go past that one. Let's try SWL 42.
Yeah, let's proxy in 42 in the gang.
42 in the gang. Can do. X in the square. Mr. KW. Over to SWL 43. And jumping in over on, I see you, Ray. Jumping in over on the video side, SWL 44 360 from some clandestine location. Hopefully things have slowed down a bit, and you and you actually know where you are tonight. Anyway, we know where you are. You're listening to the Old Tube Radio Network. Got you checked in. Thanks for listening. Let's go up to North Fork, SWL 45. You know, I think that was Paul. It sounds like the transmitter didn't quite engage, but you came in on time. Try it again, over. Okay, it is you. Signal and audio is a bit rough. I don't know if it's off frequency or just what, but we will take some time during the radio check-ins and see what you've got and do our Old Tube Radio best to get you checked in. But that last transmission was better than the first, but not as good as I'm sure you are hoping that it will be. And we'll see what happens. We'll be talking to Paul and the Tube Radios and everybody else that's glowing in the dark here after the roll call on the Old Tube Radio Network. Looking for SWL 46. From, I think he said the radio patio. If he's not by the barbecue grill, SWL 47.
No, I'm not by the grill at the moment. But yes, for the first time in forever, I've been waiting for, I think, over a year to say greetings from the radio patio. This is SWL 47, where I have to tell you that the weather is absolutely nothing short of spectacular. We spent the evening out at the Civil War reenactment, which was just absolutely wonderful. And now I'm relaxing next to the barbecue and the fire pit, and perhaps the best of all, a glowing vacuum tube radio. Life is good.
Life is good at the barbecue and the glowing tube radios. That's right. It was this weekend, the Civil War reenactment that happens every year here at one of the older parks in downtown Fresno. Kearney Park, I believe, is where they have it. And that's put on, who puts that on? It's put on by the Fresno Historical Society, I believe, where everybody is period accurate in costumes and things of that nature. So if you want to learn about a little bit of history, you can head on down. I've never been to one, but I always seem to promote them at the radio station. So very good. All right, back to what you were doing, and we will. Your radio sounds excellent, by the way. It sounds really good. Everything's fired up nice, and we'll talk to you a little bit later. Let's see, where are we going? SWL 48. I listened. Was that 48 in there? I'm listening again, over. Okay, nothing heard. My static level was way up tonight. Called as 00, SWL 49. I have a feeling Brian will probably be in before we sign out tonight. SWL 50. SWL 51.
SWL 51 checking in.
Sounding good as always. I'll get you marked in there, Dave. 305, sounding good, thank you. SWL 52. And I think I heard the station earlier, but I can't remember if he's coming back or proxied or what. Anyway, SWL 53.
Yeah, he wanted a proxy. He had company.
Okay, I did hear him while I was going around. All right, we will get Mr. Belair checked in. Page 3 is where we're going. Before I turn the page, let me say hello. Who's on the video side? OBP is there. Ed's checking in. Unit 10, hello from Macon, Georgia. Well, welcome aboard to the Old Tube Radio Network here, where coming up shortly, we'll be talking with the tube radios of the, 1958 when they first started 11-meter Class D up to about 1978 when manufacturers just said, well, what the heck, everybody wants those fancy solid-state radios. Ed is rather 44 is out there listening in. Ray's there. And the mighty Juliet Whiskey, John from Ohio, checking in, KJG 4755. This is KEO 8492. Long time since I've been able to use my expired call sign. Private Thor, the ringmaster is back. Well, they unlocked the door and they let me in. Also want to say hello to Radiohead's. Gene is listening in at oldtuberadio.net. And the Bob and Steve Show, using the jet tonight. You know, they spare no expense in making sure this Old Tube Radio Network program gets on the air in fine style and that the jingle singers are beaconing. They are in the green room. I can't see you through all the junk here on my audio rack. But they have ice cream, cookies, and leftovers from the Fresno State game last night, where the 27-56. They asked if I was coaching. Maybe. Save me some ice cream. So anybody going to the green room tonight will be served well from all the goodies. 27-56. Either that's a bad football game or an equally bad basketball game. I don't know. Checking in. Where were we going? Page 4. SWL 54. Getting one of the few but illustrious cosmic check-ins, thanks to 54 and his good work. We hear a lot of these stations locally tonight. Let's go up the hill a bit. SWL 55.
55, checking in. And can I proxy 65 at the appropriate time, please, Dennis?
Yeah, coming up. We'll do that. SWL 55, where I bet the temperature is... It might be below 55 by now when the sun goes down. You are sounding good. You must be in your air chair tonight. We've got you checked in.
Thank you, Dennis. Yeah, cool enough to have a fire.
Yeah. Start smelling the wood-burning fireplaces here pretty soon. I don't know. Sometimes they put a kibosh down here on that, but so far so good. And here's a guy that knows how to burn a cedar log. SWL 56.
Well, good evening, Dennis and the net. 56, just for kicks.
I got a few kicks today, and I'm feeling them now, but everything else is good. Thanks, Phil. Thanks for checking in. SWL 58. All right, well, maybe he's got it set up already. There he is. All right, 58. Got you checked in. Good luck on the HF rig for all those HF things that can happen, like RF into your computer system and SWR wackiness and all that. But I assume it will be nice and good stuff. You'll do some DX, and maybe even we'll hear you check in from the mobile. So 58 is checked in. How about SWL 59?
Boy, somebody's hanging a dead one.
SWL 60.
Thank you much, Dennis. I don't know if that's a carrier out there hanging, but SWL 60 checking in this vintage TRC 457 upper and lower side band. Thank you, Dennis.
Sounded good, sir. The 457 doing a good job. Sometimes it's good to give everybody a rest. You know, the 25-27 is raring to go, but it's probably just sitting back and said, yeah, 457 sounds good. Thanks for checking in. SWL 61. SWL 61, hello, sir. The Copenhagen kid. Sounded good, Dean. We've got you checked in. Over. From beautiful downtown Clovis, SWL 62. On time and on frequency. The frequency being 27085 here in Central California. I've got you checked in, Rex. Thanks for listening. From New York, representing all our East Coast big iron stations, they know how to run AM. Tune in to 38, 85, 38, 90, and listen to that great broadcast quality sound there on 75 meters and probably 11 meters as well. Thanks, Bubba, and our New York stations. Let's try SWL 64. SWL 65. Got a proxy check-in for Mr. 65. SWL 66. SWL 67. I think I have a note to proxy in Bill, which I will. SWL 68. SWL 69. And I have a note to proxy in 69. Also, SWL 22 from Longview, Texas. That was you, Mark. I thought so. But I just wanted to make sure we do have you checked in. Missed last week. Well, I missed last week as well, so everybody gets a check-in. And hope the internet connection is working well. Yeah, I agree. We need some good radio connections as well. Got you checked in. Let's head over to we did Kenny, I think, right? Let's try SWL 70.
Hello, Dennis. 70 checking in.
All right, SWL 70 checking in, sounding good, and I guess I'm returning the favor for Wednesday night. We've got you checked in. Over.
Roger. Thanks, man.
The Old Tube Radio Network. Real radio is glowing in the dark. If you're looking at us at oldtuberadio.net or listening to us there, also the video screen. Let me say hello. Peek out from behind the S meter. My name is Dennis, your net controller. We'll be talking about and talking with the glow-in-the-dark radios coming up here right after the roll call. Hello to our new stations tuning in Winnipeg and up there in Boise. I've got a good friend who lives up in Meridian. We took a tour of beautiful downtown Boise. Nice. And hello to Auberry. Continuing on the roll call, SWL 71, Stan out there in Dallas, Georgia, waiting patiently. And what is going on out that way? DX from Europe, very good this week into Foreland. Who was it? Ed was saying that things opened up on, was it 40 or 75? He was hearing some good stuff. Also on 20 meters as well. All right. Looking good and sounding good. I wish I had your, back in the day, I wish I had your CB call, the KBZ. Anything with a B and a Z always works around here with Bozo Control. Thanks, Stan. Let's try SWL 72. And you have to wonder if someone knows that the cat has jumped up and put its paw on the +2 microphonium. We'll see. We'll see what holds up first. What burns out first? The transmit light, the finals, or whatever. Sometimes these things happen. SWL 73. SWL 74. And my guess is it's probably really close to somebody and probably not close to a lot of people. SWL 75. SWL 77.
Yeah, good evening, Dennis. 77 on a blast from the past, transmitting through the Tower of Power. Yo, Cam 88, that tube's glowing bright. And all the best to all the digital listeners out there. And hopefully we're cutting through the open microphone dead key with the television in the background. But anyways, good evening, everybody. 77 on the Tower of Power, waving a hand.
Yeah, you sound good on AM. and even on the zero beat sideband. Compared to me, signal-wise, how is that that signal to you?
You need to synchronize with it.
It's 10 over 9.
Yeah, okay, you're right. Someone just gave me an idea. Hold on. All right, that's probably close. That's probably close. All right, well, it's, you know, like I said, the cat got up on the microphone and did something. Somebody will notice it soon, but it's not really messing me up at all. So, Dennis, you're sounding good. We'll talk to you about that vintage radio coming up. I think I've got it figured out. All right, SWL 78 out of Everett, Washington. And that's Richard. I thought I saw Everett, Washington listening in moments ago. I'm seeing if we've got the Washington station still up. Maybe it's not Rich in there. But anyway, drop me a note at oldtuberadio.net. We will make sure you're checked in. Hello to Fort Wayne, Indiana, also checking in. Let's try SWL 79. SWL 80. Over to page 4, SWL 81. SWL 82.
From the Ditch Banks of Iowa. And good evening to everybody. That carrier sounded like he came in right after I keyed up for 58. Strange. Alrighty. 82 checking in. Makes sense.
All right, I actually think it came up. I'll have to check the archives. I think it came up right as you started transmitting there, but you're sounding good here in Midtown Fresno. Thanks for checking in. We will check in SWL 84, 86, 87, and 88. And if you're out there, Jerry, and you can hear me, give us a shout. We got everybody checked in if you're listening. Let's try from Reedleytown, SWL 85. SWL 89. SWL 90. We have a proxy check-in for 90. SWL 92. SWL 93. All right, we've got you. You're sounding okay here in Midtown Fresno. Sometimes you have to pick up the microphone, but back to Sandbag City. And thanks for listening. Let's see if we can grab Fresno Dave, SWL 98. Got you there, SWL 98. We've got that Bay Area, we've got that Central Coast weather going on here in the mid-October, so you ought to feel good out there. Thanks for checking in. Let's see if Jeff is, Mr. Cheesy Ease is by the mobile radio, SWL 103. I've got a note to proxy Jeff from the Facebook page, which I will, SWL 109.
Hey, Dennis.
Go ahead, 40.
Yeah, if you center your frequency on 27084 980, and you should sync up with the carrier pretty well.
Okay, I think that's where I have it. I'm about 60 cycles off, and I am at 04. And I did a 0 beat earlier. That was close. So I still may be maybe 10 or 20 cycles. I don't know which way, but I should be pretty close.
8496.
Bump it about 5 or 10 up, and I'll let you know if you're close or not.
All right, I just went down 20 cycles. Which is where I was. Okay, that's you're saying about 20 cycles up?
Yeah,
Okay, I will fix that. I guess my ear was good the first time. Directing that roll call, and we will have radios coming right up here on the Old Tube Radio Network. 103 we called, 109 we called, SWL 110. Out of Reedleytown, SWL 111. I'll check. Maybe Robert has checked in at .net. Oh, okay. Yeah, you are in the big city and sounding good. I've got no problem getting a 110 checked in. Over.
Yeah, take care. 111, middle of nowhere, going back home. See ya.
All right, I'm having to. People watching the video are seeing me do the exercise here to get everybody to tweet and peat. Hope you enjoyed the stay here in beautiful upside downtown Fresno. Robert, who we don't often get a chance to hear him that well, and he is a busy guy, so it's always a good thing when he's got a little extra time to head out into Fresburg here. Let's try SWL 113. SWL 114. SWL 128, that is John Lee from the Old Tube Radio Network digital side, and I am looking, I do not see Fairfax, Virginia in on the frequency yet, so we'll hang on to that. Let's try SWL 131. SWL, let's try Northwest Fresno, see if we can make it out there. SWL 133. Was that you, Dave? Over.
It's him.
All right, we've got you in there. Thanks, Ed. SWL 133. Dave checking in here on the Old Tube Radio Network. We'll call for 135. I do have a proxy if you're listening, Cliff, and can't make it to the microphone. 135. We got Cliff checked in. How about SWL 137? No, I've got a proxy for 137, so let's try Tony, 145. Up there in Korschgold, SWL 145, that's Tony. Good to hear that you are radioactive back on the 11-meter side. Got the radios going. And I can't remember if I heard you. They called you Wednesday night. You are on the Wednesday night roll call at 28,445. But you're sounding good here tonight on 11 meters, and we've got you checked in. Over. All right, yeah, a little interference here tonight. So I won't hold it too long, but I can hear you until you're in there, and we will get you checked in. And stay tuned. We'll be able to chat. We are going to be here till at least past 10 o'clock tonight, checking in radios on the old Tube Radio Network. Speaking of checking in radios, there's a guy that has a lot of radios on the radio desk, SWL 147. Now, Neil might be out doing the music tonight. I don't see him checking in yet. It would be a late evening if he comes in from Fayetteville, North Carolina. Let's head up to, we'll give it a try from Coarse Gold. It might be a little fun to get you in there, Jim, but I am listening. SWL 195. Okay, I hear you there. 195, the Coarse Gold Starliner. We've got you checked in. Over. Yeah, okay. Now I can hear you. Go ahead. All right, and we've got you checked in. A beautiful day here in Midtown, probably a nice, cool autumn day up there in Coarse Gold. A couple of degrees difference, I guess, but it gets getting cold at night. We got you checked in. All right, my noise level is back, and that's a good thing. Let's try SWL 226. And anyone that would like to check in that I missed or wasn't sure that they got checked in, I'll be listening for you now. Sounds pretty quiet. Give me a moment. We'll switch over to the Tube Radio check-ins, and we'll be right back on your old Tube Radio Network.
That was a heck of a dead key.
Hey, Dennis, that TAM 88 sounds real good, bud.
Yeah, boy, you were cutting right through that carrier.
I was sitting over there in Axel Park.
Boy, big signal into the tower. Good to hear you in there.
Columbus Avenue 180 eastbound. See ya.
See ya. 73.
Beautiful day in the neighborhood.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? Greetings to you, wherever you are. For music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
The station for you is
OTR.
Well, I certainly hope the station for you is OTR. Hi there, the Old Tube Radio Network. My name is Dennis, the Net Controller. At least for tonight anyway. I'm just kind of sitting here steering the Old Tube Radio boat down the stream, listening for your radio check-ins, the classic radios from 1958 to 1978. You know more about them than I do, so we'll let you talk and see what we can come up with. OTR is standing by, waiting for radio number 1.
Number 7.
25.
All right, Ed, step up into the air chair. We'll be right with you. Jerry, stand by. I think you're going to be number 3. Who else was out there wanting to check in the radio? All right, nothing heard. So 25, head up into the green room. We'll take you for number 2. And I think we'll have others. And that's a good thing. There should be as many as possible. I will do my best to get everyone who wants to get checked in and fire up a radio, make a test, or whatever you want to do here tonight. I have the Tube Radio list signing in for August. Wait a minute. Is this an old list? There's nothing on it. It says August 31st. I don't think that's right. How about October 19th? Boy, that's a blast from a past. Rewind the video, will you? All right, it's updated. There's nothing on it, but there will be now. Ed, go ahead.
Okay. Bring the tram, TR-27 Echo.
Starting off with the damn tram. I think it's been a while since we started off with a tram radio. It's not indicative that the radio we start off with could or would be the most heard manufacturer, but it does happen. So we'll see if you've perhaps set a trend here. The 27E, I'll grab a picture as you take a transmission on the old tube radio network.
Well, there you go. I would not mind a tram fest, a whole bunch of them checking in. I like trams. But this one is mine. 23-channel transmit and receive, and a Electro Voice 638 microphone attached.
Let me grab the full page photo here. Don't have a shot of the EV microphonium. I might be able to find one of those, but we will talk about the radio from 1963. Top of the line for tram. And in 1963, when you had a full complement of an S meter and 23 channels and extra controls, you were going to be paying a bit more than $129, but it was well worth it. Sounds good. Back to you.
Yes, nothing small about the radio, small. Yeah, you got a big S meter up there and a 5x7 speaker up there, so gives you a little idea to the size of it. And it does a pretty good job on receive also, so yeah, it's a nice little radio so far. Luckily, no troubles.
Like the 1963 Impala, no troubles. Just works great on Friday and Saturday nights, driving to the hamburger stand or talking to the old tube radio network. 3.5, 5 watts minimum. We have, before you go, let me see if I can grab. If I see, in 1 week I've forgotten how to run all the paraphernalia here to get to get the video pictures to come up. But I wanted to. Yeah, there's a full page ad that I can do. Okay, now there it is. So if anybody can zoom in on that, you will see that in 1963 CB Horizons they took out a whole half-page, full-page ad on this radio with the tram service tip to keep the thing up and running and touting all its great qualities, which are working quite nicely. Go ahead and take another transmission. Thanks for getting us started off tonight.
Well, thank you. Yeah, there's the little advertisement telling you how you could tweak and peak this very radio. This one's doing a little bit more than what stock was supposed to, but I won't argue with it. So with that, we'll let you get to another radio.
Well, to keep the FCC happy in their advertisement, they mentioned that it was 3.5 watts. You had to have 5-watt DC input. But the 3.5 watt output kept the FCC happy, and probably out of the box you could peak and tweak the thing to do probably just a little bit more. Sounding good for Radio 1, the Tram TR-27E. Stepping up into the air chair. Oh, let me see. Are there any... Jerry, go ahead and step up into the air chair. You will be Radio 2. Any other stations standing by that would like to check in?
45, 77.
All right, we've got 45 and 77. That's 45 is Paul. Paul, you will be Radio 3. And 77 from the Tower of Power, you will be Radio number 4. And we'll see if I can remember what I just told everybody. Also want to say hello to, as Jerry steps up to the microphone here, to Smarty Jones in New York, who is saying hello on the video side. Hello to our San Antonio, Texas station checking in, and I do believe I just saw a glimpse of X4000, so we will get to X4000 in on the shortwave listener side as well. Hello, 25, can you hear me in Midtown Fresno? Over.
Oh, Dennis, you sound great. You sound good now, I should say. And it's good to hear everyone else. And hello, Paul. And real quickly, SWL 25 checking in on a Browning Golden Eagle Mark III on a non-powered banana mic with the stand. And the red on the air light is glowing, and everything seems to be working. Anyway, two-piece radio with a spot button so you can calibrate the transmit to the receive, and by golly, other than that, not much more to say about it. I'm glad it's still working after all these years. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
Sounds great. All these radios, most of which that we check in, manufactured in the USA, out of the, built by hand, wired by hand, whatever. Do a good job here in the 21st century. Yours is certainly no slouch. Checking in Radio 2 at 8:53 Pacific Daylight Time, and Jerry is on the classic, sort of the trendsetter, pacesetter, Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB, when Browning got all the pieces and parts together in two cabinets from the Series B Mark II. We had to have the pan adapter, the adapter, and the other transmitter. They did have an AM version of this with the smaller transmitter, but this was the big Golden Eagle. Probably about $700 worth in the early run, 72. These ran up through 1976 before the FCC said, yeah, you can do 40-channel transmit, and then Browning had to do a little bit of tap dancing to get a new set out. Take another transmission. It's sounding great.
Okay, thanks, Dennis. I think this was the last full tube complement of the transmitter and receive before they went to the Mark IV, which I believe was a hybrid. I'm not sure, but you probably know more about that than I do. And by the way, you said that earlier, that we know more about our radios than you do. I don't think so. But anyway, I think this is the last of the Mohicans where the receive and the transmit was all tubes, and then I think they went to the Mark IV, which is the hybrid. They had some transistors in it. Anyway, Dennis, thanks. I know there's a stack of people waiting to check in, so I'll shut up, and thanks for checking this thing in, and hello, everyone, and 7-3 all. Back to you, Dennis.
Back to me. No, there's my audio. Back to me in the studio. Do I have audio? Okay, this sounds a little strange. Anyway, I hear you. And we've got you checked in for Radio 2. Can you still hear me? Over?
Your audio went down a little bit. Maybe it's on my end, Dennis.
All right. Now, I think something happened here. I will figure it out in a moment. It's probably some of my tube equipment warming up or unwarming up. Thanks for Radio 2, the Browning. And you are sounding and looking good. Let's head over to, and that'll give me a chance to figure out what happened here, radio number 3, which should be Paul. And I know, I think you tried checking in earlier, and it had some issues, but the last time it fired up, I think it was okay. So if you can hear me, Paul, take a transmission over.
Oh, I can hear you. I'm having trouble with this radio. It's not the radio, but my microphone's giving me trouble. I got to hold exactly the right position or it fades out. You're kind of fading down, but I still can hear you.
All right, I hear something. I'm going to extend and do a little bit of test radio. Some things here. Oh, yeah, you know what? I've got, I can see what's happening here. I can see exactly what's happening. I've got some type of a malfunction. Radio test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Yeah, something was kicking the limiter into full force. Stand by while Net Control does some technical on-the-air fixing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 radio. All right, I think that'll work. I had something that wasn't quite right here. That should probably. I think one of my units is dying here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I may have to turn that completely off. All right, you should be able to hear me now. Over.
No, you're fine now. You're back again. I hope I'm talking. This thing here, if I move my head just a little bit on the side of the mic, it drops out.
Sounding good right now. Tell me the radio which you are running. Over.
This is fixed temporarily. Back to you.
All right, it's doing a good job. Tell me which radio you are running. Over.
Okay. The one that you read on your website when you was going. That's my general radio telephone, SB-72.
Oh yeah, that was featuring that on the page as you mentioned. So of course, now that I've taken it out of the queue, I have to find it again. And this is a radio that we'll spend a little time talking about because it's actually quite rare. The SB-72. And of course, I have to find the picture. Give us another transmission while I locate that.
Okay. Like that radio telephone. This was the first sideband radio manufactured. I believe the first or near the first. In 1964. It had upper and lower sideband and the whole shebang. 13 tubes in this thing. It's really a big radio for a general. It's different design, as you can see by the picture. You got it up there good. Different design, but it's got 13 tubes in it. And it seems like it's talking now. I'm anxious to hear what this thing sounds in the archive. Back to you, Dennis. You got it going.
It is talking. Yeah, occasionally it will almost go into a controlled carrier on the AM where the resting carrier drops out, and then it only comes up with modulation. So I'm not sure if that's a switching thing or a tube thing, but it sounds like you might be able to tell. Probably the meter might be doing something funny. The SB-72, and I noticed even from 1963 that came out with the GRT logo, which didn't show up again until I think the Super MC-11A. 13-tube Siegel sideband transceiver, way ahead of their times. A General Radio Telephone in 1963, building that radio. Probably one of the first of Class D 11 meters that had sideband in it. So that was a problem in itself, in that you had to have another radio to talk if you wanted to go sideband. I know at the same time in 63 they had and we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, the MC5, which had a sideband, probably a product detector to listen in. I don't know if it transmitted sideband, but you could receive it that way. Somewhere in that radio it says there's a Collins mechanical filter, so the techs on the kitchen table at General Radio Telephone were paying attention, knowing that a Collins filter would be a good thing if you wanted to do sideband, also for AM as well. That has a Silva Air Patrol frequency of 26620 MC. I don't have a price. I was looking to see. My guess, their radios were typically $199. They were just under $200, but I have a feeling that because of the technology in this and the extra stuff, this was definitely more than a low $200 radio. Let's see if it's still happening, see if it's still working, and give us another transmission.
Okay. I can turn the mic down on the radio, so if that is, I turn it down some, hopefully maybe that'll correct it. Now this radio sold for $599.50. 1964, so it wasn't a cheap radio. It's got a large logo on the thing, JRT on the thing, and it's just a different, complete-looking radio than General puts out. Still have the big rack handles on the thing. These are pretty good-sized rack handles. You can pick up the radio, because this radio is heavy. Anyway, with everything on it, I can kick it to sideband, see if you hear me, if you'd be interested. Back to you, Dennis.
Yeah, actually, because I was working sideband earlier when we had the carrier going. So I'm set up for that. And thanks to Brian and Rich for saying the audio was better. I found my problem in the audio, I think, so we're okay there. And there was somebody, I think it might have been Toby, on one of the Facebook pages that said somebody had just picked up an SB-72. Very rare radio. So if you're listening, or you know somebody that, if somebody's listening that knows Toby or the station that picked up the SB-72, we are archiving this in audio, and the video will be up. You can send them, over to the video or whatever, and say, listen, this is what your radio can sound like. I just a note, Paul is not here locally in town. He's about 35 or 40 miles away, north and east of me, up in the foothills. So that's how well that radio is doing. So we're going to check out the sideband right now. What which way are you going to go, upper or lower? Over.
We'll go with the lower sideband. I'll kick it over right now.
Show is working on the meter. About the same. So back to you if you can hear me.
Yeah, I hear you. Let me try going back to AM. I actually think it sounds better on sideband. Over. Yeah, and when it's messing up on AM, your sidebands are still in there. So I'm on your sideband frequency right now at about 2708545, and it sounds great. Nice, good audio on sideband, and great signal as well. So I think it's working all the way around. Over.
All right. Well, I have to change the microphone. This thing, it has a lot to do with everything, I think. Now it's settled in about normal, I think. So, anyway, between our troubles, we're making it, Dennis. Thanks for checking it in.
And thanks for bringing it by. I was listening to your AM, the sideband's off your AM, and when you're on sideband, it's kicking through pretty nice. So, not a problem at all. The Old Tube Radio Network, what you're listening to. Next radio. Thanks, Paul, on the very rare General Radio Telephone SB-72. There's a picture up there in the corner. I'm looking at my notes, who's coming up here. Dennis. All right, Dennis, stand by. The jingle singers say we missed the top of the hour ID. And indeed, they are correct. So I will remedy that, and then we'll pick you up as you step up into the air chair. You are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite spot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
I'm definitely going to have to get this more ergonomically situated when I have to move more than 3 inches to reach all the equipment. Hello, 77.
Hello, Dennis. I was wondering if one of them pots was going wacky on you there. You had to give it a jiggle or a wiggle. But anyway, B&K division of Dynascan Corporation, of course, made in the USA, and still going strong. The old Cobra Cam 88 with a non-amplified D104.
Very nice audio. Bringing up the shot of the 88. I don't have the 88. I should. Cobra Cam 89. Let's try the 88. We don't want the 89. 89, I think, is a solid state radio. See, this happened last before. It says there's no image available. But if I go over here, I will get the double picture. So let's go over to you for another transmission and tell us if you're doing anything special, if you're peeking and tweaking or just running it as it is.
Well, the mad scientist over here decided to go the other way and just let the radio and the non-amplified D104 do what it was going to do. And surprisingly enough, I listened to the playback, and heck, it don't sound half bad.
No, it sounds good. I'm detecting. You get the picture here. I don't know. We have stacked Cobras for this, but that's okay. And because I've been having some technical issues here, it might be at my end. I'm detecting just a slight AC note in the audio, but it's way down. But the audio is crystal clear. I'll have to take a look at the Orban loudness meter and see where you're at. But my guess is if you were looking that on a scope or something, you would be pleased. It's sounding nice on the Cobra Cam 88. You have, let's see, you have a modulation light. Is it working? Does it blink at you?
Oh yeah, it's blinking, and no, I doubt if it's on your end. I think it's got a little AC ripple in there. I would imagine the old girl could use some capacitors, and probably more than one. But you know, it says something for these radios. You know, built in the USA, 50, 60, 65 years old, and still turn on and do what they got to do. And you know, there's nothing like the smell of those old tubes when they're warming up. Boy, it just brings back good memories and puts a big smile on the face there. Go ahead.
Indeed. Here, and this is another, like the radio we just had, the SB-72. When you've got anybody listening out there, if they've got a Cobra Cam 88 or knowing someone who's working on one, refurbing one, send them to this video, send them to the audio thing here and say, this is what that radio can do without going in and turning it way up or modding it some way. This is, if you work it right and you know the microphone techniques and the proper mic in there, it'll just sound really pleasant, and you'll be able to have a 4-hour conversation with somebody and they won't go nuts. You won't drive them nuts with your audio, nice and smooth, like listening to KNX out of Los Angeles. Radio number 4, Dennis at the microphone of the Cobra Cam 88. Always a treat when we get to hear this one. We'll go back to you for a transmission, and thanks for bringing it by.
Well, I sure appreciate it, Dennis, and I know all of us out here appreciate all your effort and your energy. Boy, just amazing. You've been at this over 30 years, and every Saturday night it's always a new adventure, and I really look forward to firing up the radios and checking in. And to all the listeners out there and the other tube radios, all of them just sounding great. Everybody sounding good into the tower tonight. Hey, 73s, and we'll turn it over to the next one. We'll catch you later, Dennis.
All right, thanks for bringing it by, and yeah, it's fun. It's just really, if for stations listening in, like unlike yourself and myself that haven't been on the air for years and years and years, and are kind of used to sort of the present day CB sound. What you're hearing tonight on Saturday night here on the Old Tube Radio Network is a lot of what you heard when these radios were brand new, just people having a good time and taking time out of their Saturday evening from whatever they might be doing and chatting on the radio. So we appreciate them doing that. And of course, there is nothing that says you can't do the same thing wherever you are. Have a get on the air radio night, or like JT does, the old radio night. Invite people to come in and talk and actually have a good time. Get some. Always hear a lot of people complaining that it's too quiet or there's nobody on, but sometimes you have to create your own little radio powwow, and the rest, good things will happen. And as they say, the rest is history. Like, if somebody told us back in 1985 or 86 that we would be doing this for 30 plus years and everybody would be having a good time all the time, most of the time, we might say, I don't know about that. This is CB radio, but this is CB radio. We're having fun. We are listening for radio number 5.
Number 7. 25. 45.
All right, we will take them in order. I'm gonna give an option. I've got 3 radios, and we've got spots 5, 6, and 7 to fill. So next one up would be SWL 7. Would you like to be at the bottom or the top of this list?
Oh, that's okay. I'll go ahead and do it now. That doesn't matter.
All right. So stay in the air chair. Next will be Jerry, and then Radio 7 will be Paul, SWL 45. And I just want to make a note. If you're listening, you haven't checked in before, you notice everybody has numbers. You don't need a number. You don't need to have ever checked in before to get in and take a transmission. We are hoping, actually, that we get people who are first-time radio operators, or maybe they found Uncle Joe's CB radio in the back of the Buick and want to fire it up and see how it sounds, please come on in and talk to us. No prior experience necessary. But we just have a lot of our longtime operators who come in and are also on the SWL list. So again, you don't have to be on any lists or anything like that. Radio number 5 online. And by the way, told everybody the order. Yeah, radio number 5 is Mr. Ed. Give us a transmission on the nice sounding radio. Over.
Well, this one's a Browning R68 T68 with the Browning banana mic, which of course is made by Electro Voice.
Your EV microphonium, let me go back to that picture. There is another full-page ad. You seem to be grabbing the radios tonight that have the full-page ads. And if SWL20 is listening, he is now cheering, as you are on one of his favorite radios. This was the first of the Browning series that got the moniker, the sticker, the badge of Golden. Before that, the Eagle, the R27 S23, refined it a bit, and you have the radio that you are talking on, and it's great sounding. Take a transmission.
Well, thanks to Harvey, yes, this radio is once again on the air, and good old Golden Eagle is in very good condition, and man, I just love the Browning, so I could not refuse when the offer was made.
A smart radio operator is one who knows when it's time to say, yes, I would like that. That will be my radio. I'll be taking it home. Load it in the back of the in the pickup truck, and we'll take it home. The R68 T68, the R68 being the larger set, the receiver with the flying Golden Eagle badge there, and the T68, the transmitter. I guess similar to a Mark II, but this is the pre-Mark II, or the Mark I or the Mark None. We're showing the banana style microphone, and which microphone did you say you were using on that?
Oh, it is the banana mic, but they are made by Electro Voice.
All right, EV for Browning. So they went to the best. They say, we're making good radios, but you need a good microphone to go with it. Sounding good. And I think Browning knew that if they made a microphone that had a bass, that when you picked up the microphone, the bass would stay on the table, and you could sort of move it around much easier than a D104. You could make your own Browning ping signature, however you wanted to do it. And we'll let you do it on your next transmission. Thanks for bringing by the R68, T68. I was also going to say that those were manufactured only for about a year, in between the Mark II and the Eagle series from 1967 and 1968. In that time, they did have two versions, the Series 1 and the Series 2. The Series 1 transmitter had a spotlight. Some receivers had a variable RF gain, and others have a 3-position switch for RF. Of course, during that time, you could get the optional, which we're showing the picture there, I think the optional speaker. And there was a wood cabinet that we are not showing. Price for that radio up to about $400, so a little bit cheaper than the SB72. Not quite, and a little bit cheaper than the Mark III series that we heard earlier. Such a deal, but in 1967, $400, you probably could have went down to a used car dealer and drove away with something off the lot. So go figure. Back to you for transmission. Thanks for bringing it by.
There you go. Well, and this one is the Series 2 of the group there. It has the, not the variable receiver. It's got the little 3-position, which is kind of weird on the RF. But otherwise, very nice radio. And with that, I'll let you get to one of the other guys out there I'm sure wants to check in.
Indeed, the Old Tube Radio Network. Real radio's glowing in the dark, and thanks to our operators who do take time out of their Saturday evenings, sneaking away from the barbecue or the picnic or the mother-in-law or who's ever visiting out there, and say, I'll be right back. And and give us the radios. We like that. Let's go to Radio 6. Stepping up into the air chair should be Jerry, SWL 25, over.
Yeah, hello, Dennis. And by the way, Ed, that battery sounds great. We got to have a sonar checked in, at least one. So we'll check in the sonar Model G. That's pretty much simple. It's 8-channel crystal controlled with a VFO and on a big old stock held sonar microphone. Bred by, I think he called it a Ultra Bred or a Bred mic, I don't know. But anyway, it is actually the radio that I lent SJ, Scotty, up there in the hills to check in, and dual conversion, meaning that it's AC/DC. So I bet it was a great mobile CB radio at the time, because it's pretty much compact, much more so than the FS-23 or the FS-3023s. So, or the Model E, and I've got a Model E over here that needs a little help, but it's still alive, but it's got a leg or two broke off of it, and not a problem. We'll get that Model E back on the air here pretty quick. But anyway, this is the Model G, and back to you, Dennis.
Model G looking and sounding good. I think we've got a shot here from Cliff's collection, and he's, as always, spot on with featuring everything, including the original big piece of toast, whatever they call it, sonar microphonium, which I think helps with the sonar audio. Not sure if SWL 21 is out there listening. He's been featuring the sonar, I think it was an FS-23 or a 3023. He's been featuring the sonar radios on his internet CB free-for-all that he does, the old Radio Night. So we're getting our sonar fix here. And yeah, you're the first sonar to stop by tonight. The Model G from, I don't have a year for that. I want to say 63 or 64, $229.50. 23 tunable, which is the knob down there under in the center, and then the 8-channel selectables. You'd buy the crystal. Probably came with channel 11. That's why we're on channel 11, because a lot of the radios that were not all 23 crystal controlled supplied might have channel 11. So we favor that. Audio is great. It sounds good. I hope you can look at the archive sometime and see what that radio sounds like here. And Jerry is not that close. He is over the meadows and through the woods north of me, beaconing through the giant giraffe of the Children's Hospital, and always does a good job. I think he picked, Jerry's a smart guy. He's a radio guy, so when he picked his location for his QTH, he probably went out there and stuck his finger in the air and looked at the wind direction and looked over the beautiful San Joaquin Valley and said, this would be a great place to put up a Radio Shack. Back to you.
Yeah, okay, well, like you, I have many projects that I need to do as far as antennas, but at least I have one that's working. And anyway, I was going to mention something about the sonar radio that you mentioned, but maybe I just lost it. But anyway, I just watched the end of the playoffs, and Houston won. So Houston versus the Nationals in the World Series. Anyway, by golly, let's see if we can't check in something else after here, maybe in some other radio operators. So, Dennis, thanks for checking it in, and everyone sounded good. Back to you, Dennis.
All right, we will be here checking in radios. That's what we do on a Saturday evening. The Old Tube Radio Network, yours is sounding marvelous. The Sonar Model G. Great audio from a great radio. Thank you, Jerry. I want to say hello to Centerville, Virginia, who is listening in over at oldtuberadio.net. If you can get in on the comments section, I think you have to have a Facebook account to do that. We used to have email, but for some reason that doesn't work anymore. Leave us a comment or click on the video and say hello. Brian is out there. 6520. Hi, nice to have 6520 in. A lot of the radio operators that you hear and people on there are also ham radio operators, so we're hoping that when we actually get some sunspots, you might be able to pick a frequency sometime here in the next year or two and gather around and chat with everybody. Maybe we'll have an old tube radio net frequency somewhere. That would be pretty cool for our ham radio operators and soon-to-be ham radio operators. And I will make an announcement about that if Larry's still around. Not right now, but Larry, if you're listening, I noticed you mentioned something about some radio classes or testing coming up. And we'll get to that before we leave on the evening. But standing by patiently is our radio number 7, and that will be from Paul up in North Fork. So I hope you are still listening, Paul. Over to you. Over.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but listen to you and Journey, I'm following you. I got the same lady you checked in. I'm going to check another one in, but I got to check in a Model E sonar. I copy your Model G, a little bit older radio than mine. Hopefully it'll work. Anyway, I'm checking in on my Browning Golden Eagle Mark III AM SSB.
The Mark III AM. I'm thinking they sold more of the SSB's radios, even though price-wise, I think the Mark III AM combination, I'm trying to see, okay, I've got an ad. Let me see if I can pop that up here. I've got a radio ad for that. And you can see that the transmitter and the receiver are not the same size. It's probably very close to whatever the Mark II transmitter was on that. It just didn't have, I think, the price on that's like $500 instead of $700. It sounds good, though. You got it fired up. Give us a transmission.
Okay. The finger goes a little long on this thing. It's a bit long. This thing's got a switch in the back. I can click it to a little shorter thing, but it changes as you don't get it close enough to the speaker and all that stuff. It changes, so it's going to do its thing. But just leave it where it's at. Anyway, yeah, this is an old radio, 2-piece radio, 20 tubes total on the thing. It's got 13 knobs on the thing, 2 large meters. It's got the on-air light, and a VFO for receive, 24-channel crystals for transmit. This one, lucky enough, I'm using a Browning 776 microphone made by Turner, but it is actually a microphone designed for the Golden Eagle, and that's what come with it. It's controlled inside the radio, not from batteries and that on the others, like on the outside. It's one great radio, and thanks.
Thanks. That's a really good, the audio quality is a really good combination. Sometimes if you get certain microphones on the Browning, you'll have a lot of high frequency. It's piercing audio, but it's if you're going to talk for somebody for 2 hours, it's a little rough on the ears. That one is actually, it's good communications quality, good piercing, but it's not overdone. So that is a good match. Good quality audio, and I'll leave the S-meter up here for the next go-around so you can check the signal. I'm going to say that's not your strongest radio that's come by tonight, but the way the audio sounds, it really does. You look at the S-meter and said, well, I think it should be coming in stronger, but it's good. The Golden Eagle Mark III AM base station represents the highest standard of electronics engineering for AM operation. The base utilizes the same quality receiver matched to the famous Mark III AM transmitter. Browning excellence is recognized the moment you key the microphonium. Custom designed in walnut grain cabinetry, its appearance is as distinctive as its performance. Discover the pleasure of owning the finest. And they even put the price there. They're not ashamed. $495. Back to you.
Okay. Yes, I can. Good thing on that one. Yeah, well, they were expensive. I always wanted one when I was in the early CBs, but I always was envious of hearing that thing. So I had to wait till I got a little bit more money. in my pocket to buy one of the things. I think they're $800 or something like that, I think. You probably know exactly what they are. All right, hey, thanks a million for checking in, Dennis. I hope mine sounds as good as Jerry. Back to you.
Sounds great. All the radios sounding good tonight. And yeah, if you didn't quite have the cash, this would be the Browning to get the AM version, which is about $495. I think you, if you wanted to go sideband, you were at least adding the Mark III SSB. You're adding another $200 to get the bigger transmitter. So this is, I bet a lot of people started out with these, and then when all their friends got sideband radios and moved up to lower 16. Remember lower 16? Or you spent the whatever it was, $70 and $90, and figured out how to put the VFO in there and went. We won't tell the FCC, but went somewhere else. Or maybe, 16 had the RC channel next to it, so maybe you were just up in that crowded band where they were trying to get 3 conversations in between channel 16 and 17. Or no, it's between channel 15 and 16, I think is where the RC channel was. Trying to fit 3 kilohertz sideband stations in there without messing everybody up back in the day. Let's see, where are we at? The bottom of the hour, Jingle Singers over, thanks to Bob and Steve, who have supplied the green room and Jingle Singers and our radio operators with such great refreshments tonight. Nobody feels like singing or dancing or talking to us over here, so we'll tap on the glass and hopefully they will tell us about the friendly place to be on Saturday nights.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, the friendliest station for you by far is known to all as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
Station for you, OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network. Let me do a little housekeeping here and say hello to, if I bring up the right screen, SWL 128, who is checking in late. Actually, we're still on. It's not late. It's not late here. It is 9:30, but where you are, it is probably very late. So let me get you checked in. So if you need to head out and do whatever it is that you're going to do, you can do it. So there's the official 128 check-in for John Lee out there in Fairfax, Virginia. Maybe you've got some DXing to do tomorrow. Anyway, thanks for remembering the Old Tube Radio Network. And we are standing by and listening for radio number 8.
Number 7?
25.
We can do that. Number 7 for radio 8 and 25 for radio 9. So we got Ed and Jerry lined up. Hello to our new station checking in from Norwalk. I want to say a shout out to Norwalk off there, off the 105. I have bowled many a Cal State bowling tournament, and I don't remember the lanes out there in Norwalk. So just wanted to say we know where you're at. Although someone was saying we were having some short skip this afternoon, where they're hearing Southern California. I think we could probably hear Norwalk if we get the E-skip ducting stuff. All right, let me stop talking and say, who did I recognize? 7 for 8. 7 for 8. Hello, Mr. Ed.
And this time, Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. So very similar, but this one's got both the big size of the radio.
Yes, the Brownings are coming on strong here. That does have a different audio flavor. And I'm going to say probably if you were running the exact same microphone between the two radios, they might sound a little bit more similar, but I don't think you're doing that. Back to you.
Well, this one, just like the picture you pulled up, has the Golden Eagle D104, the limited edition made in 1976, with a little plate on the front with the numbers and all that. Actual real gold plating even. But yes, and a garage sale find for $5, I might add. But yeah, that's what it is.
Oh man, you must have skipped home from that garage sale.
Actually, it was a friend of mine that found it. He said, you bought radio stuff. I found this one. Would you like to have it? And, boy, how much did you pay for it? He goes, $5.
Yeah, it's like, what are we going to do with this thing? It can't make a lamp out of it. It's too big for a paperweight. Someone wants to give us $5. It's sold. Sounds good. Nice audio. The Mark III SSB. A good juxtaposition from our radio prior to that, the Mark III AM. Same, as far as I know, they have the same receiver. It was just $200 lighter when you pull out all the sideband items that needed to be stuffed into that giant transmitter from 1972. Sounding great. Go ahead and give us another transmission. And we're taking bets. We're placing our money to where he might have the ping switch set on this particular transmission. Back to you.
Oh, just a little ping. Don't want to get crazy with that. But also, I have to thank you, and of course it was Jim and OBP and Rob that all talked me into getting my ham ticket, and I just renewed it. It's been 20 years since I've been on the ham radio side. All due to you guys.
Yeah, it was fun. I think, I'm going to say it was about 1999 or 2000, in that era when we were coming up with the top of that solar cycle, and we got a lot of new hams. It was all a lot of KF6s, I think, was the call at that time. They were in the Fs if you went straight to the novice call. And boy, did we have some fun on when 6 meters opened up. So, and that's a good segue. I'll do it after. I'm going to check Paul in, and for those of you who are local, stay tuned here. In the next 5 minutes, we'll talk about when and where the next licensing session is coming up for, at least here in Fresno in the Central Valley. So that's a good segue into that. Radio number 8, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. We'll go back to you for another transmission, and then we'll pick up Paul up there in North Fork. Thanks for bringing it by. Back to you. Over.
Oh, and thank you. And I can't wait to hear what Paul's got this time. So I'll just shut up and listen.
All right, this is the, and I should take that to heart. This is the shut up and listen frequency. So, with that in mind, let me say hello 45. Over.
Yeah, if you can hear me, 45.
Yeah, you sound great. Nice audio, good signal. Back to you. Over.
Yeah, okay. I was trying to listen earlier and tune in this old Model E and those forward as usual, all three of them except for the great Browning. Anyway, was there something you had in your mind there, Dennis?
No, I think a sonar would be a good choice, the Model E, and that is, you bring up a good point here. One of the many reasons we are on this frequency every Saturday is for people that have collections to, like an old car, you occasionally have to start it up so that the battery doesn't die. And we encourage our radio operators to pick many radios, whatever, fire them up and make sure they're working and keep them happy. So you're keeping us happy with your check-in. Over to you. Back to you.
Okay. Well, it's fading out on receive, which is, I don't know what's going on with it. Anyway, it's working now. I found this in 1961 Popular Electronics, so I believe it's the first one that they made. They had a revision on the thing. Mine is in the Sam's 4. So they changed some tubes or something in the thing in the meantime and had a revised one. This is supposed to be the better one. This one is really a plain Jane on the front. They had no, as you can see there, they had no meters or nothing on the front. Boy, I love that meter up top that he's got there. I sure wish I had one of them. Cliff. You're lucky. Yeah, anyway, it's about the same color, same everything. Very nice looking radio. They got a gigantic microphone thing. Sonos always had a big microphone. Easy to hold on to. I love it. Anyway, if you got anything else on it, back to you.
I was just looking at my crib notes here, and actually not. I don't even have a price or a model year, or like I often do, a Sam's photo fax to go check things out. But we've got a great picture, as usual, from Cliff. It's got the power light. It's also got an ANT, an antenna light. So I don't know if that would come on when you transmit, or if that's something that might show up for an SWR. This is also an 8-channel transmit. Looks like it can tune all 23. And I see a tune and a crystal, so it has probably maybe a crystal-controlled something somewhere. Sounds good. Your audio's great. I'll go back to the, I don't know if I got the S-meter in at the same time, but next transmission I'll pop up the S-meter here so we can see where the signal, how the signal is doing. Over.
Okay, well, I hope you stopped. I'm having to key the mic. It's fading out. I think we got a bad relay in this thing, but it looks like the plugs need to be cleaned on the thing. Sounds the simplest way to do stuff anyway. Yeah, I have quite information on this. And Popular Electronics, like I said, had a really good little write-up on the thing with a picture and everything. I got my information from that. But this is, like I say, this is Sam's 4, so it's a few years later. I guess, I know only a year later, since 1962. So they did all this within a year, from probably, well, whether they manufactured it in 61 or 60 or 59, who knows, because it came out in 61, Popular Electronics, so that's about the first time they started putting radios out, so who knows. Anyway, back to you, Derek.
Yeah, I'm going to say 61 sounds right for that radio. And typically they would, when something new came out, they would go ahead and advertise it as soon as possible. Lots of competition coming up, even in the second, third, fourth year of Class D, as things were catching on. Certainly not like the 4 million people or so that were on the air in the early 70s, but it was certainly gaining favor in the early 60s. Radio number 9, I haven't even written you in there. I've been having so much fun talking to you, I haven't logged you in. Radio number 9 is Paul, and he's on the Sonar Model E. Sonar is always great for their audio. And this is typically out-of-the-box stock with the microphones. You didn't have to do too much peeking and tweaking. Sounding good. I won't hold you too long because I know the receive is doing its thing, but we'll take, if you can hear me, give us one more transmission on the Sonar. It's great, and thanks for bringing it by. Over.
Yeah, it sounded good. Did you fix it on the air, Dennis? It's working perfect right now. You never know. You know, these things sit for so long, and I can get mine out maybe once every 6 months or less, hopefully. And
they don't like that. They need to be worked. Don't mind changing a few tubes, but
they need to be worked. All right, thanks again for checking in, Dennis.
All right, I just popped into, those listening on my receiver heard me jump into the sideband mode and zero beat your frequency, and it's very close to being right on 27085. Just a little bit low, but not much. So after 50, 60 years, your crystals are hanging in there with no problem. Thanks for bringing it by.
Thank you, Dennis.
Also, Jingle Singers are at the ready, and as I promised before that, we'll talk about the licensing session coming up. Also want to say hello to, just tuning in, out there in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, Captain Keyboard, waving a hand to OTR, and everyone listening in. Said he missed me last week. I missed everybody last week, too, as I was doing my duty to keep a non-commercial radio station on the air with the pledge break. It's the first for Fresno. It's been on for 45 years, the FM radio station, the first non-commercial radio station to start in this area. So very important to keep it around. And the Jingle Singers are back. Don't go away there, Captain Keyboard. Jingle Singers will be coming up. But first, let me see if this link that Larry sent is going to come up properly, and I won't have to search. Okay, amateur radio exams in Fresno. Sponsored by the Fresno VE team in 2019. Exams given for the technician, general, and amateur extras. So if you've already licensed, you'll be able to upgrade. If you haven't got your ticket yet, you'll be able to start with one of them. I think if you're there and you pass one of them, You can go on to the next one. I think you have to pay each time. You have to pay for each upgrade. I may be wrong about that, but the thing to do would be to get in the door and try that. Exams will be conducted on the following dates. The exams are given on Saturday beginning at 9:30 a.m. November 16th, there's the one coming up. The location, St. James Episcopal Cathedral, 4147 East Dakota, Fresno. So that is, for locals, that's Dakota and Cedar. In fact, we were talking about that very location across the street. Earlier we were talking about Harpain's Dairy. There was a dairy there 40 years ago. Now it's a shopping center. So anybody remembers where they got their chocolate milk? This is across the street at the St. James Episcopal Cathedral. That's November 16th. I want to say that's on a Saturday, but I'm not sure. Someone will probably chime in when I finally unkey the microphone. Theory exams are multiple choice. First class mail is used to send paperwork to the ARRL, who sends it to the FCC, thus assuring the fastest possible service. Here's what you need to bring. First of all, you got plenty of time to study. You've got a couple of weeks if you haven't been studying already. So you've got plenty of time. But what you will need are 2 IDs, one with a photo. So obviously a driver's license and then something else. Sometimes I think they can take anything with your name on it, like a PG&E, something that says you are who you are. So 2 IDs, a taxpayer ID number, Social Security number, or FCC registration number, preferred. I don't think you'd have an FCC registration number unless you already had a license. So if you've got a license already, bring it in. Fee is $15 per test session. So that's correct. So each test session is $15. So if you pass the first one and want to keep going, bring some extra cash. And if you're upgrading, you do need your original and a copy of your amateur radio license. Walk-ins only, no pre-registration. Talk in on 14694 repeater. So that's November 16th coming up for the local Fresno area for getting your ham license. Now, if you're not here in Central California, go online or ask your friendly ham radio operator person when's the next test coming up wherever you are. And go for it. We'll have fun. Like I said, the bands are going to be opening up. We are in the very biggest bottom of the cycle 24, coming up to cycle 25. Things will get better, and I really foresee that in the next couple of years, we might have a couple of frequencies that we check out when the conditions get good for people here talking and chatting. If we want to do AM on 10 meters or just chat on sideband, maybe on the next day or whatever. So get your upgrade, and you'll be glad you did, I bet. All right, now we promised the jingle singers. Let me unkey, see what's going on in the frequency, and we'll be right back. This is the Old Tube Radio Network. All right, I take those old buzzard AM transmissions, and I don't hear anything or smell anything blown up here, so we'll give it a try. You are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network.
You're listening in the latest style at
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11 Old Tube Radio.
In wonderful
Fresno, California.
Yeah, Bozo Control likes that one. Looking for radio number 10.
25.
All right. Sir, you have put us into double-digit radios tonight at 9:45 Pacific Standard Time. Go ahead. Over.
Well, first of all, Dennis, I might add maybe a little addendum to what you were talking about as far as amateur radio. Anybody listening might write down the website, www.qrz.com, and you can practice. Yes, take the test, and it doesn't cost you a dime, and you can practice it until you start passing. But anyway, it's also good to understand, what you're studying. So, but there's two different ways to do it. But www.qrz.com. Anyway, Dennis, I do have another item over.
Another item is good. And good information there. Oops. Okay, the foot switch is not working. Good information there. I'm trying to think how I got my first novice license I studied, but that's before they had VECs. And when I upgraded to general, I bought, and the same thing with the advanced class that I went up to. This was before QRZ, but I bought it was Gordon West. Does he still do stuff? It was Gordon West book, and his was a little bit more, I don't know, dummy friendly, for people like me. And then I bought the ARRL book, like you said, that had a lot of the rules and regs and technical stuff, and then I combined the two. So I would wimp out on the easy stuff with Gordo's, and it was very good. I mean, it was easy. And then I would challenge myself with the same part in the ARRL and go into it a little deeper. But like you said, QRZ.com, you've got the tests and questions and answers, and that's the way. If you want to just get in quickly, you can do it that way, and then go back after you pass, hooray, and go back and study a little bit more when you're not under the gun, trying to make a date for a test exam, and then pick up the stuff that you think is interesting and do more about it. All right, back to you, over.
Yeah, okay, Dennis, and you were the one that I watched while you were conducting OTR on my Browning Golden Eagle Mark III while listening to 30 meters and doing code at the same time. So my question is, well, you must not have anything that transmits on code because I would love to have you on Wednesday nights. Anyway, that's a little jam there. But anyway, 25 checking in on a sonar FS 3023 to follow up on Paul's sonar, and but you're right, Paul's that sonar sounded wonderful. It's just fantastic. With the coast, I guess you call it, big old non-powered sonar mic. Back to you, Dennis.
Fortunately, the picture I have doesn't show the microphone, but this is, we'll talk about this radio. It's a little different from the sonars we looked at earlier, obviously a later model with all 23 channels on the Sonar FS, Field Service, Fun Service, Frank Sinatra. I can't remember. There is a reason for that FS and the 3023. Let me just go to the camera only. And somewhere back here, there it is. Let me see if I can highlight. It is the J38 key that I used for my, there it is, that I used for my novice when I had my DX60B novice. And I'm probably I'm probably very rusty, but I suppose I could try and check in on the 10-meter CW net. It just, I don't have it in, I don't even have the key part of it in, but it had a switch. Is it still there? I know I took it out. A switch between using it for a push-to-talk for my transmit, and then you switch it and would go to the key portion on the radio, and then I would usually do CW. I never got one of the bugs or the other keys. So if there's a straight key night, I might do okay. 3023. Let me put the picture back up, which would be right there. FS 3023. There you go. Tell us what you're doing. It's sounding good.
Okay, well, 23 channel, and the only difference that I can really tell about the 3023 versus the FS23 is that the A&L switch is on the front versus the rear. But I think the two complement is exactly the same, and everything else. If ever used to call this the mini AC. Anyway, the speaker on the front and kind of a fun radio. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
I remember that SWL8, the baby Yaesu, the mini Yaesu, and if anyone has on their radio shelf at the moment, look over at your FT101 series, whether it's a B or a 101 plain or an E or a double E, and look at the knobs and the coloring, and so that's where it has that look. And I'm thinking that these came out well before, I want to say 1965 or 66. That would be before the 101 series hit the mark. So maybe Yaesu was copying sonar. Our Radio 10 of the evening, and another sonar. Let me make sure I get it in on the item here. I wish we had a little bit better picture of it, but you get the idea. And we'll go back to Jerry to add a little bit of audio with our photo. Thanks for bringing it by. Back to you.
Yeah, and this is actually a mobile, designed as a mobile, a 12-volt or 120. Can you imagine having a radio this big as a mobile? I mean, back in the days when you had the 442s and the GTOs, you had all kinds of room. And because there were big cars back then, the Cadillacs, whatever, the Buicks electric 225s, and they had all kinds of room to mount a radio this big. But boy, the cars nowadays, man, it'd be a struggle. But anyway, it just goes to show you how the times have changed. Anyway, thanks, Dennis, for taking it in. Sonar, FS 3023. Back to you.
Sounds good. Audio is good. Not quite 100% on the modulation, but doing quite nicely. And it's hello, David. David in Norwalk. And thank you. Keystone Lanes. How could I forget that? That's the bowling alley where they have, or often have, the Cal State tournament. And he's also a ham. He has a KF6 call. When did those come out? 99, 2000, 2001? We had a whole bunch of KF6. Jerry, without giving out too much, did you start out as a KF6?
No, I was as a KG6. And the reason I changed, it got a vanity, is because I was so close to you and Jim, who was, a little silent key now, but KG6J, and you were KG6G or KB6G. It was just kind of confusion. So anyway, that's why I got a vanity. Back to you.
All right, that's right, because everybody was sort of getting their license at the same time, and the KF6s were all Y, I think. So WXYZ, and then it went to KG6, and a lot of the KG6s that came out were in the A calls. So probably in the next year. So hope to hear David sometime. I'm not sure what class you are. I'm from Manhattan Beach. That's where I did all my CB radios back in the late 60s and 70s. I was out in Manhattan Beach, and we could hear the guys out in Norwalk. That was a good straight across the, what was it, Century and Artesia, whatever, out that way. And I might have went to some ham breaks out at that time. So good deal. Thanks for another sonar. It's going to be interesting to see when we count an amount here in a couple of 10 minutes or so who the most heard manufacturer is on the old tube radio tonight. Radio 10, the sonar model FS23, sounding good from probably around 1965 or so. Over.
37.
That sounds like Chris. Hello, Chris. Anyway, back to you, Dennis. Thank you.
47.
All right, and thank you. We're keep going. We've got Radio 11. I hope you got the right radio queued up there. We've got 37. That's Chris. He'll be Radio 11. And then after that, from the radio patio, Radio 12 with Michael. So without any further ado, hello, Chris.
And hello, Dennis, and hello, Jerry. Sounding good over there. Out there at good old Madera. Of course, you ain't that far from me either. But sounding always good. Anyway, Dennis, this is SWL 37 Chris. We're going to check in our general radio telephone, the Super MC11A. This is the 24-channel version of this one. And we are running this here with a non-amplified stock microphone.
Non-amplified microphone. It's like the sonar. Those radios were built to, out of the box, with the supplied equipment, sound good. No amplified microphones necessary. That's what the tube audio will do for you. Go to the almost full screen picture here, and you did good. Radio 11 is the Super MC11A. Back to you.
Well, and I didn't even plan this here. We've been watching a show on TV in there and everything. And I was getting ready to go take a shower, and I said, well, no, I got to go check in the radio first. So I come in here right now, and plus I had to take my medicine. So I had to take my medicine. I come in here right now, turn the radio on, and said, well, I'll check in one anyway. And, of course, I hear you talking to Jerry. So after you got through with him, I just went ahead and broke. But then I didn't know it until just before I broke. You said he was number 10. So I said, oh, this is perfect timing. What can I do? I had to jump on it real quick.
Yeah, well, this is the perfect timing frequency. Let me get a close-up. We got a great shot from Cliff on this radio, showing the microphone. You said you could stock microphone. I'll tilt it down so we can see that little bitty microphonium is making all that audio. There's also some good components into that radio as well, which we will talk about. But good to have you on the band and chiming in for, is that our first general radio telephone in the evening? I'm looking. Yes, you are the first general radio telephone. Over.
Okay, now on that picture of Cliff over there, now does it have the same microphone that this one's got?
It has the, I want to say, teardrop-shaped microphonium. It looks like it might be a Charlie Mike 3, and it says a Big G General. If you have that little, if it hasn't fallen off, there's a little metal tag right in the center of the microphone.
It's fallen off. It's not on it. It's a little, like a oblong square thing right there in the middle, but it's got all the little hollow parts, but you can see the cloth gold weaving through it and everything, kind of sparkly. But, yeah, well, it's not really a teardrop. It's got a little bit of a shape to it, but, yeah, I don't know what you call it. It's a microphone.
And it does quite well. No massive amplification necessary. We'll go to the stretch.radio to get the whole picture in there. Channel 11 is where we are at, the Old Tube Radio Network here in Central California. And we've been, for those new listening in, we've been on the air doing this, not streaming audio or anything like that, but just what you're hearing. We've been doing it since the mid-1980s, almost every Saturday night. Having a good time on these CB radios and featuring an excuse, I guess, to fire up the tube radios so that they don't sit around and get lonely. and you can tell how lonely they get, and we'll talk to our next station about this. You can tell how lonely they get by the amount of dust that gathers on the tubes before they're next key down. So if it's been a year, you might smell a lot of dust burning off the tubes. If it's every week, you'll get that pretty cool old tube radio aroma that is a great thing and fills the room, and then your the lights coming out of the top and the glowing tubes coming out of the top of the radio. Always best to run your tube radio in a semi-lit room. It's like having a Christmas tree and then the little lights dancing off the walls. This is a 24-channel radio. It does have the Civil Air Patrol in there right on the dial. I think you told us one week if you turn around to channel 23, you will see a space for the Civil Air Patrol.
Yeah. It's got something right there. And you're talking about how well, I didn't check it in last week. I was gone. We were doing something, I don't know. Or was I? Yeah, no, actually I was here, but you weren't here, so I didn't check it in. That's why I didn't get checked in. But anyway, just over that week, 2 weeks, I'm sitting here. Of course, you know how close I'm sitting to the radio. And of course, it's underneath the big radio down there, and this is the other big radio, but I can smell it. You can smell the dust burning off the tubes, and I can put my hand on it and feel the heat coming out of it. It's a hand warmer. If it's cold, place your hands upon it, and it will warm your soul.
That's right. Put your hand on the radio. So you're doing it right. 20, I hear you. You will be, step into the green room. We'll catch you for Radio Lucky 13, which you seem to do. You and Mike seem to get 13 a lot, but see, Mike's going to be Radio 12. He'll be 13, so don't go away. We'll get to you. What was I? Oh, I was talking to Chris. Chris is on Radio 11. It's the super MC11A from General Radio Telephone. It's got 9 tubes. It's got the 12AX7 for the great audio, and also the ECL 800, which was the special tube they put in, I think, at the MC9, Super MC9 to bring out that transmission. So let's go back to you for another transmission. Chris and we will continue on with the Old Tube Radio Parade. Thanks for bringing it by.
You bet you, Dennis. This is the one I was going to check in tonight. Like I said, I got to go jump in there to the rain locker and get some of this dust off me, so yeah, got to get it clean. So anyway, I will try to get back in time to listen to the closing if I can make it that long. I know it's 10 o'clock now. I don't know if I'll make it. But anyway, Dennis, thank you.
All right, and thank you. Thanks for bringing the radio by and just checking the audio here to make sure nothing breaks. Make sure none of that expensive equipment breaks. What I need is one of those microphones that's on the Sonar or what you just heard on the general radio telephone. Keep it simple. Nothing breaks. Coming up next is, who is it? It's 47. Hello, radio.
Hey, good evening again, and greetings from the radio patio. I'm not kidding. I think I mentioned it a couple hours ago. I've been waiting forever to be able to say that, but I am still out here. It's turning into I wouldn't say it's cold. It's getting chilly out here, but things are certainly warm with my Robin T123.
October, November, December, January, February, great months. Great months to have your tube radios firing up. And I'm fixing something here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. 1, 2. I got a piece of audio gear that's dying on me here. So, all right, I think that sounds a little bit better. Let's grab a shot of the... And we're just going to take this out of line. 1, 2. Let's grab a shot of the radio, the Robin T123 with the special, and it's our only radio tonight that's had one, the Magic iTube. Go ahead.
Oh, that's too bad. That is the only one. Yeah, that was the particular sales feature for me, or the deal maker. After listening to everyone talking on their tube radios, of course, I think I spent quite a bit of time looking around on eBay trying to figure out what I wanted, and I can't remember how it transpired, but Magic iTube just kind of caught my eye, and I think I was looking around. I did find this exact radio, as a matter of fact, on eBay. I think I was watching it, and I think it might, I don't know, Harvey can probably correct me on this, but I think the auction ended a little early, and I was bummed out that someone else swiped it, and I don't know how it happened, but Harvey, you wound up with it, and shortly after that, it wound up over here. So, yeah, it was the Magic iTube 6, I think it's a 6 or 813, which is essentially, the tube itself is mounted vertically. There's a light bar that comes down from the top and up from the bottom. The more you speak into it, the bars close, and they look pretty awesome outside, as I'm doing right now.
Yeah, not uncommon for early audio gear, whether it was a reel-to-reel tape recorder, the radio like that for the audio, or even some of the Zenith radios used the other style for tuning. You would tune your radio and for those two parts of the light to come together for a maximum signal. Maybe I can get a shot of the tube here before you go. Working nice. As I mentioned earlier, the audio and the radio are working fine. No need to look or check or tap the radio. Everything is fine. So it must like the smell of the barbecue.
Good. Yeah, actually, everything did turn out pretty well. I got a quick question though before I get out of here and turn it over to SWL 20. And I know this is a long shot. It's almost like just calling up a doctor and saying, "Hey, my body hurts. What's wrong with it?" It just doesn't work that way. I'm wondering, is there something, if I complained that this radio sounded great, the receive sounded great at the beginning of the show, and maybe about a half hour, 45 minutes into it, it sounded like pretty much everyone was underwater. the bubbly type of audio on the receive, and then maybe another half hour, 45 minutes later, everything's back to normal again. Does that sound like a typical issue going on, or was one of my neighbors just using a hair dryer or something?
Well, if somebody was adjacent channel, very close by running sideband, it could do something, but it sounds like you might be running an old tube radio. And those things happen. I'm having, what's failing in my audio chain is the solid state gear. See, the tube stuff often does better than the solid state. I don't know. Well, Harvey is the next up, but we'll get to him real quick here. And if he hears that question, maybe he will say, oh, the old bubbly audio trick. We'll find out. For those at the videos portion or watching us at oldtuberadio.net, there's the tube. That's this 6RE13, and that's the actual tube. And what they do is they put that in the front of the radio, and they cut out a part of the case, and then you see the two phases of lots of, I guess, voltage, if you want, that's causing the two light bars to come close together, which would be your close to 100% modulation, and then backing it off there as you get to 25% modulation. But that's actually what's in the front of the radio. Let me go back to the radio here. Or something like the radio. There we go. It's in that little tiny little space in the front. That's actually a tube standing up there, and you're looking at the front of the tube to check the audio. So, all right, when we get to Harvey, we'll go back to you for transmission and see if Harvey has the bubbly audio fix. I think probably it's just make sure you check in next week, and the radio will be happy that it hasn't been sitting around so much. Back to you.
Yeah, I absolutely do agree that these radios do need to be used, and the more the better. What a joy it is, and that's not an understatement. What a joy it is to use these things. Anyways, thanks so much for doing what you're doing, and everyone else sounds just wonderful, and what a joy this is. So thank you, sir. Back to you.
All right, and thank you. Thanks for, I know you got a busy evening there trying to keep everybody fed and the barbecue going and sneaking into the, well, I guess you don't have to sneak. No sneaking involved. You've got the radio out right where everything's going on. I'm just looking at the temperatures, 80. It was not 80 here when I started. I'm seeing if there's a breeze coming through, but the tubes and all this stuff is warmed up the room, and I know it's probably 65 or maybe even cooler out here at the, 10 o'clock, past the 10 o'clock hour. Thanks to all the stations that are staying up late with us across on the Universal Media Netweb. Hamilton coming in, listening in. So, Harvey, I know you are anxious to check in as Radio 13, so we will head over to you. Hello, Radio.
Okay. Well, yeah, this one. Lights don't go away. Are you still there?
Yeah, for a little bit longer, yep.
You went to the Civil War reenactment today?
Yes, sir.
Did you go by Kearney Mansion?
Yes, sir.
Did you go in Kearney Mansion?
No, sir.
Darn. On most weekends, that's one of my daughter's new jobs. She gives the tours at Kearney Mansion. She was there today and she'll be there tomorrow. I just wondered if you saw her. She had one heck of a day. It's like the busiest 2 days. When they have certain holidays and certain things like these reenactments, the place is packed. And I just wondered if you'd seen her.
No, I don't think so. We didn't go up super close to it. We did sit in front of it and watch the band they had playing on the front steps, but didn't see her. I'm sorry.
Okay, I just wondered. Bubbly sound. Sometimes if you have carrier interference, somebody's talking and somebody else is blowing a carrier, if they're about the same level, it'll sound like a fluttering sound, might sound bubbly. I don't know. I can't think of the other problem that might cause it, like tubes or something, other than just something like interference.
You said the magic word, Mike.
Yeah.
When you were hearing the bubbly sound, we're going to assume, one, you weren't serving champagne with the filet mignon. Was this happening earlier in the net, say, during the roll call over?
No, absolutely not. It was fine. Well, actually, it did happen towards the latter part of roll call. I think you were up into... Yeah, you were probably up in the 100s when I noticed it. And it literally sounded exactly, I mean, like the cliche, if you're going to put a cartoon character underwater and have him speak, that's exactly what it sounded like. But, it's perfect right now. No issues whatsoever.
All right, and Harvey pegged, he said the C word, carrier, for probably, and I'm going to say a good half hour. There was a carrier, very strong here, actually. And if you go back and listen to the archives or watch the video through the roll call from about SWL 58 all the way through the roll call, you will hear what it sounded like on my end to hear most of the signals coming through about a 20 dB carrier. And my guess was somebody's kitty jumped up on the radio table and probably stepped on the Turner Plus 2 microphone and locked it down. So there indeed was a carrier going on. So depending on where you were in the field of how strong things were, some stations probably would sound more underwater than others. And depending on where their frequency was, you might have heard a zero beat tone going on. What I did is I tried to zero beat myself with the carrier, which was a good suggestion from a couple of stations. And the more you are exactly on the frequency of the carrier, the more you will have that double kind of underwater sound, because if you're zero beat right there and there's no tone. So there you go. And I did that on purpose so that you wouldn't hear, when I was talking. I know that's a strange explanation, but I really think that's probably what you were experiencing over.
Okay. Well, first of all, that's exactly what it sounded like. So, bravo again. Your technical skills are just amazing. And I think we may have figured it out because, yes, indeed, I remember thinking that's kind of curious because the bubbling audio, it sounds a little bit different with each different radio that was chiming in at the particular time.
Yeah, sort of the like unsideband, where you need a carrier to detect. You can detect sideband if you put a carrier on when someone's talking, but then you have to zero beat around. Anyway, I'm sure that's what it was. So don't put that screwdriver away. Don't take that radio apart. That was just what was going on, and it was one of those things. And I didn't make a really big deal about it because I was hearing everybody, but I'm sure that's probably what was happening. And it sounds like the little Robin was sounding good all the way through. All right, Harvey, thank you for mentioning that. I totally forgot about that. So let's go back over to Harvey on the Mystery Radio 13. He hasn't said what he has, and I haven't written it down yet, but I know he's Radio 13. Hello, Harvey.
Okay. I'll get to it. Mike, don't go away. Did you forget how you came upon the Robin 2123?
No, it was on eBay, and then the auction, I think it ended earlier, or I think, but anyways, from eBay, it went to your hands.
No. What happened was, you were watching one on eBay, and you were thinking, I'm going to bid, I'm going to bid, I'm going to bid. Then you didn't bid. And then it went away somewhere, and you were talking about how you really wanted it. Okay, now you remember?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Okay. Well, I had happened by Bill's shop, and Bill had gotten me a whole lot of radios, and one of them was a T-123D that he was going to junk. He was going to throw it away. I said, Bill, that looks kind of okay. Why are you going to throw it away? He said, come closer to it. Get real close to the speaker. Now, do you remember?
I think you said, you might have just heard, or said T123B. No, I do remember that this radio that I'm speaking on right now, which of course is the one that you're talking about, I had named this radio Fifi, because I think a cat at one point in time, it's so late I can't think of a clever way of saying this. A cat pissed on the radio, on the speaker. Maybe it's still broken.
This guy's cat keys. He said, put the bag right on up and keyed right into the speaker. Well, I took it home. Of course, I've got a lot of cats, so I was kind of used to that, kind of, and took it all apart, junked the speaker, and then cleaned the radio up.
It's 10:19, and we're talking about cat pee.
And worked on the radio.
That's the Old Tube Radio Network for you.
But
we're eventually going to find out what radio Harvey is on.
123. You're right. I might have said 123B. I had one right over here.
All you staying up late Sunday morning, I hope this is worth the wait.
Because Bill just said, here, take it. Get it out of the shop. So I did. And then you mentioned how you missed that one. So that's how you got that one. That's the PP radio.
Okay, I got it. Well, Dennis, I'm thinking Ed and I were reminiscing right before the show started. I have a feeling you were hearing it. We were talking about, I guess you folks, this is before my time, used to have some get-togethers at Woodward Park and would actually have an Old Tube Radio throwing for distance contest. Maybe there needs, I don't know, gentlemen urinating on a radio just to see how long you could do it before you get shocked to death? Would that be, hey, that might be kind of fun, right?
I'm going to say no. I'll just come out and say no. What you were referring to is the Old Tube Radio Picnic that, like Ed said, was out at Woodward Park, and one of the functions that we had was called the Old Tube Radio Toss. And since, as you know, Woodward Park has a big, expansive area, we could go out behind the picnic area where the tables were, and safely, because you didn't get arrested. The thing you suggested, you might get arrested if you did, but you would not get arrested for throwing the radio. You just had to be safe because it is, a 12-pound, 10-pound, 17-pound thing flying through the air. You had to make sure that, the children were back, but that's what we did. We threw the radio, and then we'd run out and mark the distance, sort of like hitting golf balls, I guess. And you mark where it was, and then the next person would step up, and they'd try their hand at it. But, sometimes, like in baseball, people get wild, and the radio could go backwards, sideways. So we really had to make sure that it was safe and fun, and that nobody got hurt or arrested. But that was the Old Tube Radio Toss.
So, do you recall who would win? Who won these distance contests?
You may get me out of the air chair. I don't recall. I may check on that. I probably have some pictures, but the book is not here. The picture book is not here. I have to look for that. That's see if we've got some pictures from the Old Tube Radio picnic, which we do. And now that I have the close-up cam, we might be able to show them. But let's continue on, because a lot of people are still waiting for the Mystery Radio 13, which is the microphonium, which Harvey has his thumb on the microphonium of Radio 13. And we really need to find out what that is. But I hope I answered your question about the radio toss. Over.
Oh, yeah.
All right. And it's still, I guess it's still a valid idea. If you were the Collins Radio Collector Club, I don't think you would have an old Collins radio or an old Hallicrafters radio, because it'd be about 85 pounds, and you'd probably need a catapult to toss it. But when we're talking about 10 to 15 pounds, like a bowling ball kind of, you can do a radio toss. But you still got to be careful. All right, Harvey, are you there? Over.
Oh, yeah, I'm here. Okay. This is a Fleet Courier by ECI. I've been wanting one of these for a long time. I just spotted it about 2 weeks ago. And I shouldn't have gotten it, but nobody else was bidding on it. So I thought, what the heck? So I had to replace the speaker because it sounded really crappy. I could barely make out Ed last week. But I found about 7 or so speakers that will fit in these radios. This one and in the General. The old Generals and the new General. The Quam type speakers and the Jensen speakers. Anyway, I found them. So I've got a bunch of them now. Anyway, the Fleet Courier is 5 channels, lots of waiting, no meter. I have a 30, I have the Fleet Courier 30B and the Fleet Courier 30B Plus, which I think I'm going to put on next week. But anyway, this one's really nice, pretty good looking in the front. Again, 5 channel, 2, 4, 6, 7 tubes. And the microphone is an amplified D104 with a 10D head. So if the audio sounds a little unusual, that's probably why. I'm going to take the head off and put another head on the next transmission.
All right, I found a shot of the Fleet Courier 30B. And it's not what I thought it was. I'm going to say it's very plain radio. It's blue front. It's got the Fleet Courier, a couple of channels, and I had to dig the picture up. Your audio was sounding interesting. The radio was sort of changing. Radio was changing as things were happening. So go and take a transmission, and I'm recording all this, obviously, so see how things work with whatever microphone you want. Over. I'm looking at the microphone plug. No, it's a regular plug-in mic. Sometimes I was hoping you wouldn't have to rewire it to get the microphone on there.
You didn't want to key up. I've got to check the antenna connections and this and that. I've got another radio that I want to put on, but it's not warmed up. It won't take that long. Anyway, this has got a regular D104 head. Any difference?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit cleaner. And as your last transmission, as you were talking, it actually, something was happening inside the radio. You could hear it. So maybe that was what we were hearing. And I want to double check. You were on the Fleet Courier. I've got pictures of the 30B Plus and the 30B, but not the 30. So would I be more representative showing a 30B? Over. Might be having the key up issue again. Have to find the microphone that actually keys the relay, I guess. And we're waiting for Harvey. Let's go to the Jingle Singers while we wait for, see if we can get Harvey back on here.
Let's do some spelling.
OTR. 27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio. Old Tube Radio.
He's looking for his plan B. One should always... All right, and I've got a piece of audio equipment that is definitely dying here.
That is not a good thing.
It's turning the limiter full on, so that's why the audio keeps dropping 50%. So we'll just kick it out of line, and I think that's working. And it's pretty much a non-replaceable equipment. It's probably about 30, 35 years old, but they don't make them anymore, and they're really expensive. So I just need a microphone and a radio, as has been proved tonight. Anybody else need to check in while we're waiting for Harvey? And I hope it's only the radio that's having the issue. And the Old Tube Radio Network is listening. And counting. Anyone have Harvey's phone number to make sure it was just a radio problem only?
Yeah, I'll check on that.
And who is still out there listening? York in the wee early hours of Sunday morning. David out there in Norwalk, hello. Centerville, Virginia. Fort Wayne, Indiana. San Francisco still in. I think I see a station from Mexico. Had Ontario, Canada listening not too long ago. Manhattan Beach, out there in Southern California, Maryland. And a host of others. The Old Tube Radio Network. If you're watching the video, this was a live, or is a live broadcast of the net on Saturday, October 19, 2019, and we were waiting for Harvey on the Fleet Courier 30 or 30B.
Yes, Harvey is okay. He's messing with crystals, trying to find one that'll work.
Okay, on the fly. Now, if there's anyone that we talk to that might have a parts box full of goodies that could get any radio on the air, it would be Harvey. So take your time, and we'll see what we find out. Find out what frequency it actually shows up on. I think can I do split? I could probably do split on this. We'll find you somewhere. It was sounding pretty good. I know he was wanting to get one of those. Let's see. Do we have any information on the Fleet Courier? Not really. I don't have the. I had to dig this picture out of there, and I'm wondering if that was a business band version of the Courier, Fleet Courier, meaning that it would not be limited to the 5-watt DEC input. That might be a reason he wanted that radio. It's already peaked and tweaked for you.
Just to kill time, you want to add a Browning to the list?
Yeah, let's add a Browning radio, and I think your Browning will fit in nicely because we've had the Mark III, and we've had the R68 T68, which was the first Golden Eagle, and then I believe we may be traveling back in time with your set there. Over.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to sneak peek on the back of this radio. Yeah, it's a Browning R27 S23. I believe it is a Series 2. I thought I recalled seeing somewhere in the back of the radio, someone had stamped Series 2. I just looked on the back of the receiver, and I didn't see anything back there. What about the transmitter? Let's see here.
While you were working, you brought it up, we'll talk about Series 1 and Series 2. Here's the shot we're showing is not of some of the radios you see are the actual radios that are transmitting, but this is one from Yogi Bear's collection. It also includes, which Mike isn't using, the 180 amplifier, but the transmitter's on the top left, the receiver's on the bottom. The R27 S23 Browning. This was the first Eagle, not a Golden Eagle, but an Eagle. It got a 2-year run from 1964 to 1966. It was in the mid $300 price range, and there was a Series 1 and Series 2, and I think there are ways to tell, but I don't know if it was written on there, but I have another way you can check it out.
Yeah, you know, I knew you would, but I swear, come on, it's right. Yeah, it's just too late, and I'm too tired. I think it's stamped on here somewhere. Yeah, who knows? It's so late. Maybe I have Series 2 stamped on my forehead. I don't know.
All right. Well, the Browning Eagle Series 2 base station consists of the R27, that's the big receiver, and the S23, the sending unit, the transmitter. Some of the differences from the Series 2 or 1 are larger meters. Of course, you wouldn't know unless you had one to compare it. This might be an item, a neon modulation indicator, which is going to be kind of the orange glowing thing, and the lighted on the air indicator. So where would that be? So if you have something that lights up when you go on the air, you probably have a Series 2. And if you have a neon, what was the other thing? The neon modulation indicator. So if you have some orange glowing thing that blinks at you, that's probably a Series 2.
Yeah, well, I do have the modulation lamp. We've discussed if it was an incandescent or neon bulb. Let me see if I got this straight, because this may be something new. I didn't know. Are you saying that the Series 1, the version of this radio, did not have the on-the-air lamp on the transmitter?
According to my notes, that's what it says. And then it said some of the differences. Let me... Okay, this picture changed on me here. Let me get that in line. And it also had the silhouetted eagle head. The Golden Eagle, of course, had the flying item. All right, I don't really have anything saying a Series 1 has this, but the Series 2 would definitely have those things I mentioned.
Okay, got it. I think we have come to the conclusion that this is a neon modulation lamp, and it definitely does have the whatever's painted on eagle on the radio. So there it is. All right, I've got to get the backyard closed down before it gets too late here, and I passed out, which I think I've already started doing. Hopefully that has bought SWL20. Enough time to get that other treat up and running. So on that note, I will bid you a good evening at 73 to all.
All right. Thanks for your radio. Oh, wait a minute. You are Radio 14. I didn't even mark it in. So thanks for Radio 14. We're listening for Lucky. You know, maybe that's the portent here, that Harvey is Radio 13. We've always had luck with Radio 13, so maybe tonight Radio 13 is not the place you want to be. Thanks for checking in, and we are listening.
How do you like that? That's weird. Probably has something to do with the crystal.
All right, I hear you now. Over.
Yeah. It's probably the tuning, but I'm not sure. Let's see. Let me unkey. Well, I don't know if that was it. I can't even remember what I was talking about. Where was I?
All right, your audio sounds good. I think it actually sounds better. I'd have to go back to the archives and see, but it's definitely got some powerful audio. It has that beefy sound like a Buddy bass would. I was trying to determine if you were on a 30, a 30B, or a 30B plus. Over.
Well, there it goes again. I'll have to figure out the tuning on this. It's just the Fleet Courier. The Fleet Courier is the...
Oh, and there it goes. Wonder if he knows it stopped. Wonder if he knows he stopped transmitting. And I don't have a picture of just the Fleet Courier.
Oh, I'm back. Okay. It's got a power plug problem, too. Okay, there's a Fleet Courier. The Fleet Courier 30B, and then the Fleet Courier 30B Plus. There is no Fleet Courier 30. Anyway, just the B and the B Plus. The Fleet Courier and the Fleet Courier B, 30B, look about the same. The 30B is blue on the front and has a modulation light. The Fleet Courier just has the power on light, no modulation light. And I'll have to figure out why this wants to play its game. I think it's a tuning problem where I've got it just where the crystal will oscillate sometime. So I have to fix that. Anyway, I've got one more I'd like to put that one on the bench and warm it up for a minute.
All right, I hope you're hearing me. I'll keep it quick. I'm showing the 30B, and I'm still not sure which courier you're running. Can you still hear me? All right, we'll pick him up when he goes to the next radio. But there's, like he said, the blue front Fleet Courier 30B. But I'm thinking he's on the 30. But it has some, for the signal that if you watch the S meter, it's not that much over the noise level. The audio does sound pretty intense. It's got some good low frequencies and high frequencies. So when the radio is fully functional, I think he will be happy with that. It is Radio 13, so that's something to be said as we. This isn't our Halloween issue, is it? No, that would be coming up. So you don't want to be, next week you definitely don't want to be Radio 13. OTR standing by.
Okay. I'm going to unhook the other one. It's the Fleet Courier 30. No, it's a Fleet Courier. There is no 30. There's the Fleet Courier in black front, chrome case. Fleet Courier 30B, a blue front, chrome case. And then the Fleet Courier 30B Plus, painted case with a light blue front along with brushed aluminum. Anyway, let me get the other one off the bench. And this other one I wanted to put on for about a year, but it had a bad speaker. And the only way to put it on was take the whole thing apart, unhook the speaker, and clip wires to the, transformer. So, with another speaker. So here we go.
Okay, yeah, the radio on is sounding fine. I've got it that you were on the the Fleet Courier, and then we were showing, for anybody listening, we were showing the 30B, which you described. So, okay, listening to see if the other one is, whatever you're doing is going to function here. I'm surprised I've only had one thing blow up tonight. Jingle Singers. I don't know if they spiked the punch or not. I have to talk to Steve and see what they're giving them over there. But they are sauntering up to the microphones, so we'll go over to the Jingle Singers as we await Harvey on his possible radio.
You're tuned to
OTR. Channel 11.
right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us
Old Tube Radio.
and be modern.
And good morning in Manchester, where the sun probably isn't quite up just yet. Rye is listening in from the UK over at oldtuberadio.net and the Old Tube Radio Network standing by.
Hey, Dennis, can you hear this radio?
This is the I Can Hear This radio frequency. Go ahead.
Okay. This is the Rutherford 400 Citizens Radio Phone. Finally with a speaker where I could hear people.
All right, I can hear the Rutherford. Did they ever make a unit in Rutherford B. Hayes? I think they did, but this is long before that. I'm hearing it if you're hearing me, over.
Well, I can hear you. The noise limiter in this radio kind of terrible, but I can hear you, and I have to, maybe next week I'll probably have it on the pencil or better. I've got the cabinet on. I probably should have had the cabinet off, but next week I'll have the cabinet off and do a better tune-up on the receive. Possibly I can get rid of that little bit of motorboating that I've got that I don't get with the Courier or with the Browning. But this is the Rutherford. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 channels. Crystal transmit and receive. That's it. It's got an RF light bulb. When you key up, the light bulb goes on, and when you talk, it fluctuates. And it's got some fairly decent output. Amplified D104, same head as what I was using with the Courier the last time, D104 head.
All right, that's interesting. The audio doesn't have a lot of high frequency to it, and I was going to mention that you might want to put a D104 on there to punch the high frequency. It does. It's. I can hear it just fine. I'm wondering if the Rutherford is a clone of something else. I just did a search because I don't have it in the database, and it's coming up with the Vocaline Calm Air. But I will go back to you, make sure you're hearing me okay.
Yeah, I hear you fine. The Rutherford is nowhere near the Calm Air. The Calm Air, or the Vocaline Calm Air, is like the Browning Mobile Air. The Calm Air has like 4 channels. Vocaline Calm Air has 4 channels or 1 channel, or 5 channels or 1 channel. The two models. The Mobile Air by Browning, which was a Vocaline Calm Air, is the multi-channel one. Anyway, I've had this one for a while. It's really nice. I just haven't checked it in because I couldn't hear on it. The speaker was just terrible. No external speaker hookup. I'd have to take the cabinet off, and if I put another speaker to this one that was in there, between the two, you still couldn't hear really decent. So you had to unhook the wire. So I just didn't use it. Well, it takes the same speaker as the Browning, not the Browning, the General and the Courier, the Fleet line and the Super MC and the older Generals. The Brom speakers or the Jensen speakers, 3.5 inch, 3 to 4 ohms.
All right, you caught me trying to check your sideband and find out where you are on frequency, and you're just a little bit low. By the way, what were you on before that I didn't write down? Oh, the Courier was very close. Whatever crystal you found for that was very close on frequency. What is the official name of this radio? You mentioned it was long, and I was not paying attention, didn't write it down, but it had a longer name than just Rutherford. Over.
Okay, it says Rutherford, and then below it says 400 Citizens Radio Phone.
All right, you always know when they call it a citizen radio phone that it wasn't manufactured in 1972. It is working. It's close to being on frequency. It has good low frequency response. Like I say, it could probably benefit. And again, you're just over the noise level here, but I'm copying you 100%. It probably could benefit from a little high-end audio boost somehow. But it is working, and it sounds like you fixed the speakers so that you can actually hear me. Over. Over. Over.
Yeah, I can hear you. Actually, on eBay right now, there's a sales brochure for this radio. They want a little bit too much money for it, so I didn't get it. But if I could get a good picture of it, I might try and print it out. But that wouldn't be fair. Maybe I'll buy it just to have it with this thing. It doesn't give a schematic or anything. It's a basic sales brochure with specifications. But this radio, let me tell you, I didn't replace the speaker until now because I wanted to be sure. And when you take the front of the radio off, the speaker is riveted in. So you got to drill out 4 rivets, get the speaker out, and then put the front face back on it. It's kind of weird, but I got it done today.
Thank you, Harvey.
It's working, so I'm happy, but the receive isn't what I'd like. I didn't have a chance to really do a decent tune-up. It sounded like it was okay, so I let it go. But what I have to do is do a basic good tune-up to it. It doesn't have a meter, so I have to tap in to the IF section and first IF, I think, and with a couple of little parts and an analog meter, I'll get it done.
All right, great. And thanks to your cue, I did find that brochure. It's not the best quality, but if you're watching the video or you're at oldtuberadio.net, you will see it on display. And I was hoping I could read off of it, but I can't. But it's definitely, it looks like late 1959 and 1960 with the advertising, the font, two-way Citizens radio phone. I can't read that. 6 channels, universal power supply. 1 unit operates on 115, 6 and 12 volt DC, automatic noise limiter, crystal controlled receiver and transmitter, made in the USA. I see Culver City, but it looks like the Rutherford something company, but Culver City. So maybe it's their. Who else was in Culver? You know, Burbank for General Radio Telephone. I don't know where Autronics was at, but okay, I see it, and it definitely has that. It definitely has that look. Over.
Oh yeah, Rutherford, the Electronics Company, Communications Division, Culver City, California. Oh, how about that?
Have to drive by Culver City sometimes off the 405 and see if we can find if Rutherford is still around. All right, well, I'll pretty much guarantee that that's the first Rutherford 400 that is checked in 35 years here on the Old Tube Radio Network.
Roger. And it's serial number 171. Like they made a whole bunch of these. Okay. I got one more to go real quick. It's ready and fired up.
All right, one quick question. What I'm seeing from the radio looks like it has a big area in the front for a speaker, and I think you're saying that's what you needed to replace. So does it have a large, like a 6x9 speaker? It seems like the fidelity would and could be fairly decent out of that radio.
Roger, it looks like a big speaker grill, but the speaker is the same as in the Generals and the Couriers, the three Couriers. A 3 or 3.5 inch. The way they made these farm speakers, one's called a 3 inch, one's called a 3.5 inch, but the way the holes are drilled, you can take a 3.5 and get it to kind of fit in the spot for a 3. You might have to ring the holes slightly in either side or either speaker, but it'll fit because I did it. Basically, I've got the Prom 30A05 speaker in the radio, which is a Jensen. I'm not sure what the Jensen speaker is, but I think all my Generals have Jensens in them. I don't think one has a Prom, although in the same prototype, where it does list a manufacturer for the speakers, in more cases where it does list the name, it says Prom 30A05. And in the MC11A schematic or parts area, it has the 3A05 and the 3K7 Jensen speaker. While the 3A05 is listed as a 3.5 inch. Well, I put a 3 inch in a General MC11A and it seemed to fit okay. Well, I don't know what they're talking about. Apparently the holes have enough room. Anyway, okay, back to you.
All right, well, I'm glad I actually got it functioning and running on the air. Rutherford 400. Anybody out there talk to anybody on the Rutherford 400? From probably 1959 or 1960, two-way radio phone. Maybe this is one of the companies that jumped in at 1958, like the Town and Country that we talked about a couple weeks ago, and trying to get on the Quickie CB bandwagon, offering every feature required for maximum performance. So, Harvey, your Radio 16 is maximum performance. You said you wanted to do another one, so I'll go back to you and we'll pick that up, hopefully, before we sign out. I want to say where the sun is finally coming up there in the UK. Friar Tuck calling us. Hello, Wayne. We're on late tonight trying to get all the radios checked in here. So OTR's listening.
How about this one?
That'll work. You know, I might have checked that in earlier if that was the one you were on. I've got R68T68 over.
Well, yeah. I had to key this one up when the Courier decided to play its game. I think what it is the final output tuning. The crystal that's closest to being on frequency, I have to kind of turn it close down a bit, and then it'll keep oscillating. I think I have it on the edge of oscillation because it's not the best crystal, but it's basically the one closest to frequency. Okay, this is what you said it is, and I'll let you go, and I'll catch you next week.
All right. Thanks for your efforts. A lot of interesting stuff radio-wise tonight. A lot of people tuning in from all over the place. And still a lot of people surprisingly sticking here waiting to see how the rest of the flight, the maiden voyage of the Rutherford 400, and I'm sure it will be appearing in future episodes of the Old Tube Radio Network, and it is archived, so we can do some comparisons. So good deal. Thanks, Harvey, for the radios, and then we'll take a quick standby here and see if anybody else needs to check in, and then we will sign off tonight. And we'll cue the orchestra.
Ladies and gentlemen, time now for the current OTR totals.
That would be the current and final totals. As we take the tally here for the Old Tube Radio Network at 11:04, those of you who have been with us for a long time know that we used to go to 11 p.m. We used to do 3 hours, and I don't know, I think we cut back just because, why? Just because it was more convenient. It'd be nice to come on earlier, but what happens is when the solar cycle starts going, in which it will, and you get to summer months, and so you don't get pretty much out of the gray line until 9 p.m., that first hour, and if we start at 7, the first 2 hours would be pretty noisy. So we kind of pushed it back to 8, and that helped out. So anyway, we're always glad when we can to extend and get as many radios on the air as possible, which we did tonight. When my equipment holds up, I have to see what my very expensive piece of equipment is not working anymore. So it has been proven tonight that you just need a tube radio and the supplied stock microphonium, and that should last you for 60 years. Don't count on any of the fancy dancy stuff to last that long. Let's go through the radios. Most heard manufacturer tonight, as the drum roll portended to, was Brownings. The Sonars came in with 3, but we'll go through the list. Started off with the Tram TR-27E, and as I told Ed, always wonder if the radio that starts out will lead the pack. And that was the only Tram that we had, but it was a good one. Radio number 2 was the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB from Jerry. Radio 3, Paul on his General Radio Telephone SB-72, the rare 1963. Yes, it's got sideband. What the heck is that radio? And notice that General Radio Telephone, with the exception of the MC5, didn't put sideband in any other radio after that. But in 66 and 67, Tram, Regency started coming up with a double sideband, and then sideband was the thing. When you get the jump on everybody too early, sometimes you just don't know. You don't know what you got until it's gone, as the song says. Radio number 4 was Dennis on the Cobra Cam 88, sounding smooth with the audio. Radio 5, the Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68 from Ed's collection. The Sonar Model G from Jerry. Radio 6, Browning Golden Eagle Mark III, the AM. Sort of the rare combination there from Paul for Radio 7. Radio 8, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. That was from Mr. Ed. Followed by Paul on the Sonar Model E. And then Jerry came in with the Sonar FS3023. I'm not sure if JT, I think has the FS23. He might have had the 3023 on one of his old radio nights. Radio 11, the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. From Chris, Radio 12, the Robin T123 with the Magic iTube. That was from Mike. The Fleet Courier by ECI, Harvey, testing that out. I'm sure we'll hear more from that. Radio 13 as he gets the right crystals and combinations, but it does sound good. That really does have some nice audio for the signal it was putting through. Radio 14 was the Browning Golden Eagle R27 S23 Series 2 from Mike, followed by Harvey on the Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68, somewhere there in the middle. That was the last radio he was on as well, but I only log it once. And then Radio 16 tonight, the Rutherford 400 Citizen Band radio phone. Kind of an oddity and an enigma and hard to find any information about, but there is one here, and they do exist, and he said it was serial number 167. So there's more out there. There's more Rutherfords to be had for your collection. If you're looking for that rare radio, that would be the one to go. All right, everybody, it's very late. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. If you were staying up late here on Saturday evening on the West Coast and early Sunday morning, or maybe late Sunday morning if you're out there with Rye and Wayne and Duncan and all the UK guys. 73, everybody, the Old Tube Radio Network. We archive, if you go to oldtuberadio.net, you'll be able to hear your playback on the audio. The video stays up for a while. And we should, assuming all the equipment works here and the antenna staff, will be back next week with your favorite tube radios. 73, everybody.
Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you, Dennis. And, of course, Bozo Control.
Yeah, I think they're all over there getting the last of the cookies. I'm going to go over there, too, and see what I can find out. So good night, everybody. We'll talk to you later. All right, let me sign off on the video stream. Once I find the right button to click, like that one right there. Good night, everybody.